Section 91. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The spiritual light flashed wildly on Wang Hao's feet, and his body split into 3 parts. One of the shadows attacked Yi Jingshan with 5 silver shadow needles. Yi Jingshan made the same action as the He family cultivator before, stopped, and concentrated on consolidating his own defense. However, he was more confident and still launched several attacks to repel Wang Hao's Yao Tian bowl and Qingguang sword respectively. The remaining Baihao Divine Needle and Xuanhuan Butterfly's Psychedelic Divine Light can only be solved by Hejia Foundation Building. Hejia Foundation Building smiled helplessly, thinking of retribution in his heart, but Yi Jingshan had done what he could. After returning, he could not blame Yi Jingshan for anything because of this matter, and there was a premise that he had to be able to go back. He gritted his teeth and made a decision, spitting out a mouthful of blood, and his momentum suddenly increased by 1 level. He flashed and dodged Xuanhuan Butterfly's illusion, and then summoned a shield to block the Baihao Divine Needle, but after landing, his body shook and his face turned pale. Obviously, this secret technique requires a heavy price. At this time, the formation was finally about to be repaired. Li Durong injected spiritual power into the eye of the formation, and a rumbling sound was made, and the gap closed quickly. Retreat. Seeing this scene, Yi Jingshan also decisively ordered, taking the He family foundation building people around him, and retreated outside the formation without looking back. Seeing that Yi Jingshan and others failed, the Maple Leaf Square monks on the other 3 sides also stopped attacking and slowly retreated to a place not far below the mountain. Wang Jieling finally calmed down. Although they were no longer attacking Wang Jieling, they still surrounded Lingshan. Obviously, they did not intend to retreat. In this battle, they only lost 1 foundation building person, and their combat power was still above that of the Wang family. After replenishing their mana, they would definitely continue to fight. Although they repelled the enemy's first wave of attacks without any danger, Wang Hao, Wang Yanzhao and others did not have a trace of joy on their faces, but were full of sorrow. Chapter 176 Mutual Countermeasures. After a simple statistics by everyone, it was found that the casualties were close to 20 people. The 3 sides defended by Wang Yanzhao, Wang Longyu and Li Yaozu were fine. The formation was not broken. It was just that when the formation was damaged, they had more pressure on defense, and the casualties ranged from 2 to 3. Wang Hao's side was miserable. More than 10 Qigong people were killed or injured. If Wang Wenyuan hadn't supported him in time, the loss might have been even greater. This was only the first wave of attack. The Wang family only had 100 people left, and the Li family had only over 200 people. They lost nearly 1/10 of the people at once. As for the opponent, according to a simple statistics by several people, 1 foundation building cultivator died and 1 was injured, and more than 50 Qigong cultivators were killed or injured. It seemed that the Wang family had taken advantage, but there were more than 800 cultivators in Maple Leaf Square. If this continued, if there were 2 or 3 more times, the Wang family would definitely be the first to collapse. No matter how difficult the situation was, everyone had to defend. Otherwise, except for a few foundation building cultivators who could escape, the rest of the Qigong cultivators would have no choice but to die. The oldest among the group was Wang Longyu. He had experienced 2 beast tides and was used to the cruel battle scenes. However, like today, with so many people killed and injured at once, he still trembled with heartache. It won't work this way. Wang Xiaoyu, can you take out your talisman? The next time the enemy attacks, we will cover you and take the opportunity to kill several people from Maple Leaf Square who are building their foundation. Li Yaozu looked at Wang Hao and asked, remembering the talisman he used to kill the 3rd-level monster in Qingyo Square last time. A war of attrition is not good for both sides. The Li family naturally wants to end the battle as soon as possible. After all, their Lingshan is now empty. Even if the people from Maple Leaf Square don't go, what if some casual cultivators take advantage of the fire to rob? Many spiritual medicines that are not old enough and spiritual woods that cannot be transplanted are worth a lot of money. Although the talisman is precious, it also needs to be used. The family has just shown signs of prosperity. If too many people are killed and injured, it will damage the foundation. Even if our foundation is not damaged, it will take hundreds of years to rebuild in the future. Wang Yanzhao looked at Wang Hao expectantly. Wang Hao smiled and said, "It's just a talisman. I'm willing to give it up. It's all for the family." That the family's policy of encouraging childbirth is mainly aimed at these Qi training clansmen. The foundation building cultivators all focus on cultivation. The one with the most children is old Wang. In addition to Wang Hao, there are 4 children with spiritual roots. The others have much fewer children. After all, no one will give up precious cultivation time to hang out with women all day. Wang Hao's talisman can be used 3 times. Each time it is activated, it can send out a full-strength attack of the lower-grade magic weapon. Talismans are usually made by cultivators sealing part of their magic weapons on talisman paper, which will greatly damage the power of the magic weapon. Few Jindan cultivators are willing to do this. Wang Hao's talisman was only obtained by chance. Judging from its power, it is comparable to the 3rd-level lower-grade spiritual talisman, which means that its original magic weapon must be at least of the middle grade. The price of a talisman is much more expensive than that of a top-grade spiritual weapon. If calculated in spirit stones, if Wang Hao's talisman is not activated, it can be sold for at least 50,000 spirit stones. Now that it has been used once, it can be sold for more than 35,000. The price is expensive, so the effect is naturally not bad. It can even seriously injure a 3rd-level monster. A foundation-building cultivator will definitely not be able to defend against it, unless the opponent also has a talisman. After activating it 3 times, if it can kill 3 maple leaf square cultivators above the middle stage of foundation building, the advantage of maple leaf square will be gone, and perhaps they will retreat. After discussion, everyone made a plan and decided that if the people of Maple Leaf Square use the array-breaking talisman to attack the mountain next time, they will concentrate their forces around Wang Hao and kill together at the moment the formation is broken to create an opportunity for Wang Hao. In the chaos, in addition to the talisman that can kill the enemy, they may also be able to kill 1 or 2 more people together. At the same time, at the Maple Leaf Square base camp at the foot of the mountain, several foundation-building cultivators living in Maple Leaf Square were also discussing countermeasures. I didn't expect that the Wang and Li families actually had so many foundation builders. After hearing what you said, their formation is not that difficult to defeat. The difficulty lies in the fact that they have more foundation builders. At least 9 of them have taken action, plus Wang Guang'an who didn't show up. That's 10 foundation builders. Ji Shuguang was slightly surprised. His previous intelligence only said that the Wang family had 3 foundation builders, which was outrageous. Although they have many foundation builders, I think they are all in the early stage of foundation building. It seems that they have successfully built their foundation in recent years. Where did they get the foundation building pills? Su Minglang felt very strange and couldn't help asking, could it be that Xuanhuan sect gave them? It's impossible. The number of foundation building pills that Xuanhuan sect can refine is also limited. The sect's intelligence has all the destinations. The Wang and Li families only got 2 more than 20 years ago, and there are no more. Ji Shuguang denied. Gu Lijian's eyes lit up, and he said, this means that the Wang and Li families have a source of foundation building pills, and the Wang family itself is a family of alchemists, so maybe the Wang family made it themselves. Yi Jingshan sneered, Brother Gu, do you need to tell me this? It's obvious. The question is, where did the Wang and Li families get so many spiritual medicines for refining foundation building pills? Others are easy to say, but can they get the 3rd-level demon pill? He was slightly stunned when he said this, and several family heads looked at each other. They all had a guess. Ningyuan fruit tree. The Wang and Li families must have obtained a Ningyuan fruit tree, which can explain why they have so many foundation building pills. The 2 families are close to Duanyuan Mountain, and the possibility of obtaining a Ningyuan fruit tree is not low. Everyone's breathing became heavier. Ningyuan fruit tree, if the family has it, will there be a shortage of foundation building pills? Ji Shuguang narrowed his eyes. If he could get a Ningyuan fruit tree to present to the sect, he would be able to get a huge contribution, and there would be hope of exchanging for a Jindan spiritual object. He then said, everyone, in this case, in order to avoid more trouble, we will continue to attack the mountain later. I can guarantee you that if there is really a Ningyuan fruit tree, each family participating in this battle can get at least one foundation building pill. The family that first discovered the fruit tree can get two. That this clearly told everyone that you can forget about the fruit tree, it must belong to the Burning Heaven sect, you just need to drink some soup. This made the warm atmosphere stagnate a little. After all, the gap between the Ningyuan fruit tree and the foundation building pill is a bit big. This is like a hen that lays eggs and an egg. Ji Shuguang clearly said before that everything in Qingyafang was theirs, but he went back on his word, but they couldn't object, who let them be a Jindan sect. But think about it, these families do not have alchemy families. Even if they get the fruit tree, they have to offer it to the Burning Heaven sect in exchange for the foundation building pill, but they are the ones who work hard, and the Burning Heaven sect gets the biggest benefit, which always makes people uncomfortable. The law of the jungle is the same in the world of immortal cultivation, and no one dares to say anything different. The Burning Heaven sect will never allow its forces to have a Ningyuan fruit tree. You must know that this fruit tree produces 3 spiritual fruits every 50 years, at least 10 foundation building pills. After a few hundred years, it can cultivate a super strong family with nearly 100 foundation building people. At that time, the ruling position of the Burning Heaven sect will definitely be shaken. In order to boost morale, Ji Shuguang said domineeringly, this time I will do it myself. It's better for the old man Wang Guanan to die, otherwise I will send him off in person. That this made everyone feel a little better. Ji Shuguang took action to deal with a group of Wang and Li cultivators who had just built their foundations. Don't be too simple, so that their losses will be less, and they may not have to kill too many people to capture Wangjialing. Chapter 177 The Power of the Talisman. After only 2 hours of rest, the monks of Maple Leaf Square came to the front of the formation again and began to attack the formation. Immortal cultivators are not afraid of the night, and the bright lights of various explosions make the night look no different from the day. The loss of one person last time made the people of Maple Leaf Square learn a lesson. They no longer attacked from all sides, but divided into 3 teams again, each with 5 or 6 foundation building cultivators and more than 200 chi cultivating cultivators. They used the same trick again and used the formation breaking talisman to open a gap. Then the monks on the other 2 sides quickly divided some to support the side with the gap, and the number of foundation building cultivators who rushed into the formation reached 8 in an instant, but what they didn't expect was that the Wang and Li families were also well prepared. Wang Hao concentrated all the foundation building cultivators, and there was no defense in other directions. In this way, even if the people of Maple Leaf Square completely broke the formation, after Wang Hao eliminated all their troops, the remaining ones would not be enough to eliminate the Wang and Li families. Wang Hao saw a gap in the formation after the violent shaking, and immediately sat cross-legged and took out the talisman engraved with the golden sword. Wang Longyu operated the 5 elements enemy trapping formation, blocking the other people from Maple Leaf Square outside to help Wang Hao delay time, and several other foundation building guards were beside Wang Hao to prevent any accidents. Wang Hao is now in the middle stage of foundation building, and his magic power is much stronger than when he first activated the talisman. After the injection of spiritual power, just a moment later, a long sword with golden light flew out from the talisman, just locking onto Ji Shuguang who had just rushed into the formation. The speed of the golden sword was extremely fast, and the sound of breaking through the air resounded through the sky, instantly shocking Maple Leaf Square and others who entered the formation on the spot. As a sect cultivator, Ji Shuguang had extensive experience. When he saw the power of the golden sword, he immediately guessed something and shouted, "Not good, it's a talisman, retreat quickly." Then he took the lead in setting up the escape light and flew away in the original direction. The other foundation building practitioners reacted quickly as well. Faced with the talisman, they dared not take it head-on. They all wished they had another leg and used all sorts of means to desperately fly away, but how could a blow from the Jindan level be so easy to dodge? Ji Shuguang had just turned around when the golden sword was in front of him. Ji Shuguang hurriedly summoned a magic weapon for defense, but it was broken by the golden sword before it could grow. Ji Shuguang could no longer make any other moves and was pierced by the golden sword on the spot. Seeing his body burnt black and his eyes dull, it was obvious that he was dead. After the golden sword chopped Ji Shuguang, its power did not decrease. Under Wang Hao's control, it targeted Yi Jingshan again. Wang Hao had fought with him before and knew that this person had some skills. If he was not eliminated, the people of Maple Leaf Square would never retreat so easily. Seeing the talisman coming towards him, Yi Jingshan's soul was scared, but he could not defend against the attack of the golden sword even if he tried his best. At the last moment, he had a puzzled look in his desperate eyes. Why did Wang Hao have so many treasures? It was fine that he had more spiritual weapons than him, but he also had puppets, spiritual beasts, and finally talismans. If he had known this, he would never have come to trouble the Wang family. After killing Yi Jingshan, the light of the golden sword had dimmed a lot, and it was obvious that it could not hold out for much longer. Wang Hao hurriedly controlled the golden sword to fly to the nearest Chui family foundation building. This person killed several members of the Wang family during the day, just in time for revenge. This person's strength is far inferior to Ji Shuguang and Yi Jingshan. Even if the power of the golden sword is greatly reduced, he can't escape. The golden sword talisman killed 3 people in a row, and its power was exhausted. It could no longer support and dissipated in the sky. The talisman in Wang Hao's hand also started to ignite without wind with a puff, and turned into ashes in a moment. After losing 2 late foundation building and 1 mid-foundation, the remaining 5 Maple Leaf Square foundation building were no match for Wang Hao and others. Although Wang Hao was unable to fight at this time because most of his spiritual power was used to activate the talisman, his spirit beast and puppet were not affected, enough to cooperate with Wang Longyu and others to kill this group of cultivators. Don't panic, everyone. The Wang family's talismans have been used up. Stay calm, and support from other Taoist friends will come soon. At this time, Su Minglang, the only late-stage foundation building cultivator in the field, stood up to take charge of the situation. Hearing Su Minglang shout, the others calmed down their panicked hearts. Seeing that Wang Hao really had no talismans in his hand, they breathed a sigh of relief. It was not that they were timid, but that they could not deal with this kind of attack method that was beyond their limits. Who would go forward to send it when they knew they would die? But now that the Wang family's talismans have been used up, his courage seemed to have returned, and he commanded his own Qi training clansmen to form a formation to deal with it. Li Durong stared at a cultivator in the early stage of foundation building from Maple Leaf Square. Over the years, he has followed Wang Hao to hunt monsters and has a lot of experience in fighting. In addition, she is a genius. She is already at the 3rd level of foundation building and is not afraid of cultivators in the middle stage of foundation building. Li Durong stabbed with a sword, and the man hurriedly defended. There was no such thing as fighting alone at this time. Wang Hao's mind moved, and Yaya and Huanyudi also attacked this person. At this time, the people of Maple Leaf Square had just calmed down, and the battle formation had not yet been formed. This person was in a prominent position, and he could not defend himself against so many attacks. Li Durong was caught in an illusion by mistake, so he naturally would not pay attention to the gentleman's style at this time. He decisively swung the flying sword in his hand and cut off the head of this person. The continuous attacks almost frightened the foundation building cultivators of Maple Leaf Square. They were ready to kill people in all directions after going up the mountain, but half of them died before they could react. Now the offense and defense are switched. There are 10 foundation building cultivators and more than 100 Qi training cultivators on the Wang family side, and they only have 4 people and 200 Qi training cultivators left. It will take time for the other 2 groups of people to reinforce, and can they hold on? Li Durong and others each look for opponents, while Wang Hao recovers his spiritual power on the side, and uses spirit beasts and puppet beasts to attack when the opportunity arises, and the Qi training people use formations to attack the Qi training cultivators of Maple Leaf Square. Section 92. You are listening at novelfull.audio. For a while, there was a sound of shouting and killing. A quarter of an hour later, the 5 elements enemy trapping formation collapsed, and a group of cultivators rushed in from outside the formation again, but they were still a little late. Now, only Su Minglang, who was in the late stage of foundation building, and a few scattered Qi training cultivators were left on the Maple Leaf Square side, and everyone was injured, and they were already at the point of exhaustion. Maple Leaf Square now only had 12 foundation building cultivators, including Su Minglang, while the Wang and Li families had 10 people. several second-level spirit beasts, and 2 puppets. Their foundation-building combat power was not worse than theirs, of course. Their chi-training cultivators were still more than twice as many as the Wang and Li families, and the opponent had no formation to rely on, but if they wanted to defeat their opponent, Maple Leaf Square might have to pay a more painful price. More than half of them might die. Is it really worth it? The remaining foundation-building cultivators in Maple Leaf Square looked at each other in bewilderment. They had not expected that in just a short moment, they had lost 7 foundation-building cultivators. By now, they had lost nearly 40% of their manpower. They no longer had much advantage against the cultivators guarding the mountain. Su Minglang quickly retreated to the formation of the Maple Leaf Square cultivators. After taking a pill to stabilize his injuries, he said, "Let's retreat. Elder Ji is dead. Are we going to fight our family to the death?" This question stumped the others. They came here to seek wealth, so why did they end up like this? Wang Hao rode Yaya to the front of the 2 armies. The Qingguang sword in his hand was shining with spiritual light. He stared at the cultivators of Maple Leaf Square with sharp eyes. "If you want to fight, then fight. My Wang family will accompany you to the end. If you want to retreat, I will not stop you." The Maple Leaf Square cultivators looked embarrassed. It seemed that it would be difficult to achieve satisfactory results if they continued to fight. Moreover, there were the 3 families of Lei, Zhao, and Cheng who were eyeing them covetously. If they continued to fight, the result would be very bad. Chapter 178, Run away at any time. Jiu Lizhan stayed behind the cultivators of Maple Leaf Square. His expression showed nothing, but he was actually secretly happy. Although the Gu family failed to avenge their vengeance in this battle, the heavy losses of Maple Leaf Square gave him hope for the Gu family to rise again. You must know that if the strength of these people was not damaged, even if the Gu family could re-establish the clan. According to the Order of Burning Heaven sect, the other resources and interests would definitely be eaten up by the other families of Maple Leaf Square, but now it is different. Each family has suffered different degrees of damage, especially the strongest Yi family, which has lost 2 foundation-building people in succession, and half of the Chi-refining clan members are no longer as strong as half of the Peak, and his Gu family still has 2 foundation-building people, and his strength in the late stage of foundation building is also among the top few in Maple Leaf Square. With his protection, the original interests of the family can be preserved. Although there are few Chi-refining clan members, the mortals are still there, and they can recover after hundreds of years of cultivation. For the Xiuxian family, interests are paramount. In order for the family to develop again, Gu Lizhan can temporarily suppress the hatred in his heart, so he stepped forward and said, "This battle was caused by Elder Ji's willful behavior. It's not our fault. If we continue to fight with them, once we are surrounded by the 3 families of Lei, Zhao, and Cheng, we will probably be wiped out. The containment mission assigned by the sect will be completely failed. But if we withdraw now and save some strength, the people of Qingniafang will not dare to support Qinjiwanmen in a large scale. I believe the sect can understand such a result, that the 2 late foundation-building cultivators are willing to withdraw, and the others will naturally have no other opinions. In fact, they are eager to leave immediately. Everyone cherishes their lives." A consensus was reached, and the cultivators of Maple Leaf Square immediately retreated slowly, and Wang Hao did not pursue them. This is the best result at present. After a big battle, the people of the Wang and Li families also need to rest, and they can't take much advantage if they chase them. In fact, Maple Leaf Square was not well prepared for this big battle. After Wang Hao and others attacked the Gu and Si families, their strength was already insufficient. If they still forcibly launched a war, they were doomed to fail. Both sides suffered heavy losses in this battle. Although the Wang family seemed to have won, the war took place in Wangjiling, and the entire Lingshan was still greatly damaged. The Lingtian at the foot of the mountain alone destroyed dozens of acres. It would take 5,000 Lingsha and several years to rebuild and manage it. In the end, Wang Hao concentrated his forces to deal with one route, leaving other directions unguarded, and was penetrated by some people from Maple Leaf Square. Those greedy people destroyed a lot of spiritual medicines and plants, and lost at least tens of thousands of Lingsha. In addition, the collapse of some mountains and buildings caused by the shaking of the formation also caused tens of thousands of losses. Fortunately, they were unable to kill above the mountainside, and the core buildings of the Wang family and the clan library and scripture pavilion were not damaged, which was a blessing in disguise. Restarting the formation and commanding the clan members to clean up the messy battlefield, Wang Hao sighed in his heart that the world of immortal cultivation was too cruel, and it was too different from his ideal environment of honest cultivation and concentration on improving cultivation. The Li family stayed on Wangjiling for 3 more days. After they were sure that the people from Maple Leaf Square had evacuated far away and had no signs of returning, they said goodbye to Wang Hao and the others and returned to their own mountain gate. The Li family took a lot of risks this time. They only brought 100 clansmen, but the Li family was so big that there were far more clansmen, including spouses, servants, and subordinates. The Li family could not bring all of them to Wangjia, which would slow down the marching speed. At the same time, they could not help and wasted the precious spiritual energy on the Lingshan mountain in vain. In addition, if something unexpected happened, these people could also leave blood for the Li family. Li Yaozu asked them to disperse directly at that time, and the mortals returned to the mortal city, while the cultivators were scattered and hid in the nearby mountains. It was not easy to recall them. There were many dangers in the mountains. They were weak and might suffer losses, but in general, the Li family suffered the least losses among the 5 Qingniu families. After receiving the news, the Zhao and Qing families also began to return. They suffered even greater losses. Lingshan was plundered. Fortunately, Maple Leaf Square had plans to take it for itself and did not cause any major damage. They only lost some financial resources. The losses of the people in Maple Leaf Square can only be described as heavy. The war lasted for nearly a month. Not only did they consume many elixirs, talismans, and food, but they also lost most of their clansmen, and many families were crippled. For example, the Yi family still had 2 foundation-building people left, but one was old and the other was reckless. Neither of them was a suitable candidate for the head of the family. The decline of the Yi family was inevitable. In addition, there were the Su family and the Chui family. Without a great opportunity, they would not be able to recover within 100 years. Relatively speaking, the He family suffered the least losses. They only lost 1 foundation-building person, and most of their clansmen were saved. After this battle, they became the overlord of Maple Leaf Square. As for the Gu family, although Gu Lizhan was the strongest in Maple Leaf Square, without the support of the clan members, he could not compete with the He family at all. However, the He family did not dare to embarrass the Gu family. After all, a lone foundation-building person went crazy, which was not something they could bear. In Qingniu Square, the Lei, Zhao, and Qing families were shocked when they learned that the Wang and Li families had defeated the Maple Leaf Square army. They could only barely defend themselves. Unexpectedly, the Wang and Li families defeated the Maple Leaf Square army in just 1 day. Note that it was defeated, not repelled, so they became more determined to form an alliance. The war in Qingniu Square ended, but the situation in other areas of Qingyuan Gate was not so good. Within half a year, except for 2 relatively powerful squares that repelled the attack of the Burning Heaven sect, the rest either fell or were in a stalemate. If this continues, sooner or later a new coalition will attack Qingniu Square. It is only a matter of time before the outer forces of Qingyuan Gate fall as a whole. Wang Hao is also ready to run away at any time. As long as people are alive and the farm is there, he can develop his family again anywhere. In order to cope with the demand for talismans and elixirs in the long-term war, Wang Hao has shoveled all the unimportant spiritual medicines in the farm and replaced them with talisman grass. That can make talisman paper and spiritual medicine for refining elixirs. Of course, perennial fruit trees such as Jinyuan fruit, Yunshan fruit, Kongsang sacred tree, Bue Xuanhuan fruit, Xuanqi fruit and passion fruit are reluctant to be shoveled. The key is that these things are also very helpful to Wang Hao and his clansmen. Wang Hao looked at the maturity time of various spiritual fruits. The Jinyuan fruit trees planted on the Golden Land were cultivated after they were obtained 3 years ago. According to the growth rate of the Golden Land 80 times, only 240 years have passed. Click to view the status. Jinyuan fruit tree, seedling stage, reaching the small leaf stage after 12 days on May 2001, fertilizer can be applied. The Xuanhuan fruit tree needs 1,000 years of growth to reach the flowering stage, and the Xuanhuan fruit will mature after 300 years. In other words, Wang Hao will have to wait more than 13 years before he can pick the Xuanhuan fruit. The second piece of golden land is the Yunxian fruit tree, flowering period, fruiting period after 3 days on January 1, 2001. Wang Hao has already picked the Yunxian fruit once, so the demand is not great, but this thing is very valuable in the world of immortal cultivation, and it is also great to find an opportunity to sell it for money. The third piece of golden land is planted with the Kongsang God tree, germination period, seedling period after 25 days on December 12, 2003. The Kongsang God tree takes longer to grow, and it takes 1,000 years to be used. Note that it can be used. At this time, the Kongsang God tree is cut down to make some low-level storage bags. If it is used to refine a higher-level space magic weapon, it will take at least thousands of years or even 10,000 years. Chapter 179 Inventory. The fourth piece of golden land is planted with the Xuanxia fruit tree, seed, germination period after 10 days on March. The Xuanxia fruit is the key spiritual medicine for Wang Hao to cultivate spirit beasts, and it is even more important than any spirit-raising pill or beast-raising pill. This is a spiritual fruit that has the hope of stimulating the blood of spirit beasts. If it is lost outside, it will cause big monsters to snatch it. In addition, there are jade moon Xuanhuan fruits, which mature once every 100 years. Wang Hao only needs a little more than a year to harvest a batch of jade moon Xuanhuan fruits. In the past, Wang Hao had to worry about the secrets of the farm, but now the family is in danger. Wang Hao decided to take out a few jade moon Xuanhuan fruits for the foundation building cultivators in the family to help them improve their strength. There are not many people who are suitable for taking it. Wang Yanji and Wang Wenyuan have just built their foundations and are not suitable for taking it. Wang Yanji is also injured. The other foundation building cultivators are all overseas. Only Wang Yanzhao and Wang Longyu are suitable for taking it. According to the effect of the jade moon Xuanhuan fruit, Wang Yanzhao is expected to enter the middle stage of foundation building after taking it, and Wang Longyu is very likely to enter the late stage of foundation building. Ningyuan fruit and Jingxi lotus, which used to help Wang Hao a lot, are no longer planted now, but Wang Hao will not lack them. There are a full 100 Ningyuan fruits in his warehouse. Refining them into foundation building pills is enough to cultivate a foundation building cultivator of a medium-sized Jindan sect. He now only has 4 pieces of gold land, 12 pieces of black land, and the remaining 14 pieces are all red land. The black soil can grow talisman grass at a rate 40 times that of the black soil, and a batch can be harvested in just half a year. It can be used to make the most in-demand first-grade medium-quality talisman paper. Some commonly used elixirs in the qi refining period are mostly made from 10-year spiritual medicines, and red soil can also provide sufficient supply. The specific arrangements are as follows: 2 acres of red blood ginseng are mainly used for brewing wine, and can also be used as a material for refining some elixirs. Spiritual wine can not only be sold, but also be given to the tribe members to help them practice, and can also be used as a spiritual pill in battle. 1 acre of passion fruit is also used as a brewing material. Red blood ginseng is used to brew the first-grade spiritual wine for the qi refining tribe members, and passion fruit is used to brew the second-grade spiritual wine for the family's foundation building cultivators. As the most common first-level spiritual grass, bean grass naturally needs to be planted. Now a large number of talismans are needed. Wang Hao planted 3 acres at once, which can produce 4 seasons in a year, which is almost enough. There is also Xian grass, which also occupies 1 grid of land when planted. Unlike bean grass, Xian grass can grow to the first-level top grade and can make first-level top-grade talisman paper. It takes longer to grow and takes half a year to pick. 1 acre of golden silk spiritual apricot. The Wang family mastered this spiritual fruit the earliest. The refining method has been improved countless times, so it is the most suitable spiritual fruit for qi training people to take. Naturally, it cannot be missed. There is also the first-level spiritual wood, red phosphorus wood. This spiritual wood is the raw material for making spiritual carbon. Wang Hao needs it for alchemy and refining yin zisong, the material for making puppets. The rest are spiritual medicines for refining pills, such as juling grass, blood fat grass, and blood coagulation grass. There are also the soul-falling flower and the empty bamboo he got from Danding sect. The empty bamboo can be used, but there is only one, and it can only make one spiritual sword. Wang Hao also wants to learn from Han Lao Mo to get more swords, so he chose to plant an acre of empty bamboo. The soul-falling flower is the key spiritual medicine for making soul injuries, and it is very valuable. Planting a little can be prepared. In addition, there is an acre of spiritual peaches, which are used to feed spiritual beasts. Xuanhuan butterfly prefers this taste. Xiao Bai and Yaya prefer to eat monster meat. After taking an inventory of the crops on the farm, Wang Hao was still very satisfied. With full production, he can meet most of the family's needs. After taking 2 bua Xuanhuan fruits, Wang Hao directly sent a voice transmission to invite Wang Yanzhao and Wang Longyu to come. After a while, the figures of the two appeared at the door of Wang Hao's cave, and Wang Hao opened the cave to let the two enter. Wang Yanzhao asked directly, "Do you have something important to ask us to come?" Wang Hao smiled, "Of course it's a good thing." Then he took out a storage bag. "I found 2 jade moon Xuanhua fruits in the storage bag of a maple leaf monk. Taking them is equivalent to 10 years of hard training and can improve your strength." The two of them were stunned for a moment before Wang Longyu reacted, "Really? 6th uncle, can I be kidding you?" Wang Yanzhao frowned, "Are you mistaken? Would someone from Maple Leaf carry such a treasure?" Section 93. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Wang Hao replied, "I once bought a blue moon Xuanhua fruit at an overseas auction. After taking it, my cultivation level increased greatly. I was very impressed. How could I admit my mistake?" As he said this, he took the 2 fruits out of the storage bag. He took it out and each of them gave one to them. "See for yourselves, can this be fake?" When they saw the 2 fresh fruits, the 2 of them immediately stopped talking. This couldn't be fake. Just by smelling the smell, they both felt mentally shaken and their cultivation showed signs of loosening. Wang Hao looked at the shocked looks of the 2 people and said with a smile, "How about it, the goods are genuine. With the current situation of the family, more strength means more protection. My father and uncle should hurry up and take the medicine in seclusion to strive for rapid refining and breakthrough. Realm, one of the 2 has been trapped in the early stage of foundation building for many years, and the other has been trapped in the middle stage of foundation building for many years. Naturally, they also want to improve their cultivation. Unfortunately, family affairs are burdened on the 2 of them. After Wang Longyu handed over the position of head of the family in the past few years, I did have some free time, but unfortunately I encountered a bottleneck again. But if we both retreat, who will handle the family affairs?" Wang Yanzhao asked worriedly. "Can the family collapse without you? Don't we still have Uncle Yanji and Wen Yuan? Besides, it's not like I don't care about things." Wang Hao gave the 2 of them a reassuring look. Now the clan members are all concentrated in Qingniafang, the business has become much quieter, and it is actually much easier to manage. Wang Longyu pondered for a while. "That's true. Give me half a year, and I will definitely be able to break through to the late stage of foundation building. Old Wang, what do you say?" Wang Hao looked at Wang Yanzhao playfully. "You established the foundation more than 10 years before me, but now your cultivation is so far behind me. Don't you have any ideas?" "You brat, okay, as my father, I will listen to you and go into seclusion right now." Wang Yanzhao laughed and cursed, and then said, "These 2 blue moon Xuanhua fruits were donated to the family by you, and I share them with your 6th uncle. Contribution exchange." Wang Longyu also nodded and said, "That's how it should be. We can't always let Wen Hao suffer. I have accumulated contribution points for hundreds of years, which is enough." Wang Yanzhao's contribution was slightly lower. After all, he had to support his family, and he also wasted a lot on Wang Hao in his early years. But how could the 3 of them care about this? If they didn't have it, they would just owe it. Besides, Wang Hao has a lot of contribution points, so just lend them to him. Without further delay, Uncle Lu and I will go into seclusion right now. Wang Yanzhao put the Bue Xuanhuan fruit into his storage bag and looked at Wang Hao. The family will leave it to you during this time. Especially the literary work you, please take the trouble to teach me more, she is your biological sister after all. After saying this, Wang Yanzhao felt a little embarrassed. Several of his and Li Dishi's children had average spiritual abilities and were not motivated. Only then did he realize that maybe there was something wrong with his father. Not long ago, his youngest daughter, Wang Wenyue, detected twin spiritual roots. Unfortunately, they were of the metal-water attribute, and none of the Wang family's techniques were suitable, so they had to slowly search for them. He himself didn't dare to teach anymore, and Li Dishi was also a temperless, loving mother who often failed, which made her teaching even more unreliable. It would be better to send her to the clan school of Xuanhuan Hall and let her learn with her clan members. With her brother Wang Hao as a role model, she would have a higher chance of success. Chapter 180 Wang Wenyue. Okay, I'll go take a look when I'm free. In fact, the rules in clan science have been perfected, and you've seen the effects. Don't worry about Wenyue being there. With you as the head of the family, who would dare to bully her? Hey, you have never been a father, so you can naturally say such things. Wang Yanzhao shook his head and smiled bitterly. The two of them didn't waste much time. After explaining some things to be dealt with to Wang Hao, they went to the cave to retreat. Wang Hao called Wang Yanji and Wang Wenyuan and assigned them a pass. The head of the family and my sixth uncle have both gone to seclusion. The head of the house has only the three of us left to build the foundation. We must be tight on the outside and tight on the inside. Absolutely nothing will happen. Wang Wenyuan couldn't help but wonder, retreating at this time. Do the family head and the sixth uncle have to break through? Wang Hao nodded. I found 2 spiritual fruits, which will help to break through the bottleneck. If you practice for a few more years and your realm is stable, I will also find 2 more for you. Wang Yanji shook his head and refused. How can this mean that we haven't paid back the contribution owed to the foundation establishment pill? Since the head of the family and my uncle are in seclusion, leave the affairs of Fengshe to me. I am good at this. Wang Wenyuan scratched his head in embarrassment. I don't know anything, so I am responsible for the safety of the family. I will form a patrol team to ensure that not a single fly is allowed into the family. Well, this is best. The steward and the qi refining elder will handle the trivial matters of the family. The 3 of us will discuss the major matters later. After the 2 left, Wang Hao still felt that there were a few foundation building monks in the family. It would be much easier if there were a few more, so he thought about cultivating the clan members and inspecting the clan to see if he could select a few good seedlings. I also fulfilled Lao Wang's instructions and looked at Wang Wenyue. Cultivation must start from childhood. After Wang Guang'an took away a group of people, the clan school became somewhat deserted. However, the birth rate of the Wang family has increased year by year over the years, and the vacancy will soon be filled. Although immortal cultivators are physically stronger than ordinary people, it is still difficult for children under 10 years old to take care of themselves. Their minds are still in the growth stage and their cultivation is low, so this clan's learning is also in stages. Generally, children between the ages of 5 and 8 will be sent to ethnic education enlightenment classes, which are equivalent to primary schools. In addition to learning some basic knowledge, most of the time they are allowed to become interested in cultivating immortals while having fun. From the age of 8 to 12, they will be sent to the basic class, which is the stage of laying the foundation. The teaching of cultivation and arts will increase. In addition, the knowledge of commonly used elixirs, spiritual medicines, spiritual beasts and other natural treasures will increase. After the age of 12, they will enter the rapid growth class. There will be multiple assessments at this stage, forcing them to make continuous progress. At this time, Wang Hao was standing outside the enlightenment class, looking across the fence at an elderly clan member and 2 female clan members leading more than 20 children to practice meditation in the spacious yard. The clan elder said, meditation is the most common state in the life of a cultivator. Cultivation, recovery, and healing all require meditation. A good meditation posture will not only make your body comfortable, but also increase the efficiency of cultivation. Some of the little people listened carefully, some were distracted, and some secretly played when the clan elders were turned their backs. This scene reminded Wang Hao of his youth. Soon, he turned his attention to a 7-year-old girl who looked a bit like him. She was Wang Wenyue. She had 2 pigtails and sat on a white cushion with her eyes closed. After watching for a while, he found that she had already reached the 2nd level of qi training. The initial cultivation was relatively fast. This was normal for her dual spiritual roots. It seemed that she was not lazy, unlike Wang Hao's other brothers and sisters. They relied on a good father and were lazy. The oldest was already over 30 years old, and the highest was only at the 5th level of qi training. Wang Hao did not disturb them. After a round of identification of a few good children, he returned to the cave. All he could do was to pay attention to their growth and provide some help at the critical stage of growth, rather than interfering in everything. After the war, the Wang family spent half a year in such a quiet manner. Half a year later, Wang Yanzhao was the first to come out of retreat. His cultivation had reached the 4th level of foundation building, which was not far from the 5th level of foundation building. This made him very happy. He finally had the hope of catching up with Wang Hao. He had dual spiritual roots, while Wang Hao only had 5 spiritual roots. He was confident of this. Wang Hao couldn't help but say, "Old Wang, you were not happy when I advised you to retreat half a year ago, and now you are so happy that you can hardly see. Today, I am happy, so I won't bother with you." Wang Yanzhao glanced at Wang Hao, and then looked at Li Dishi who was waiting on the side tenderly, and asked about the situation at home. "Madam, you have worked hard in the past 6 months. Have those useless evildoers caused you trouble?" "Qing'er and the others are well behaved, and nothing serious has happened." Li Dishi glanced at Wang Hao from time to time. Wang Yanzhao noticed it immediately and asked, "What's going on?" Wang Hao said, "Nothing, I think those scoundrels are useless, so I sent them out to work. In the future, they can spend as much spiritual stones as they earn, saving you too the trouble. We are all adults, how can we ask our parents for spiritual stones all day long?" Wang Hao looked at Li Dishi and said, "I see that Aunt Xi's cultivation has reached the 8th level of qi training. If she works harder, she can build a foundation." After that, he gently patted Wang Yanzhao's shoulder and said, "Old Wang, you guys talk first, I'm going out first." Looking at Wang Hao's back, Wang Yanzhao the corners of his mouth twitched. He had asked Wang Hao to take care of Wang Wenyue before. Who asked him to take care of the other children? But this is indeed what a big brother should do. I think Wang Hao did the right thing. The children were like that. I, as a mother, felt bad. They were obviously much more honest after being punished by Wang Hao. They haven't asked for spiritual stones in the past 6 months. At first, I was afraid that they were not doing well and went to see them, but I saw that they had begun to be self-reliant, especially Qing'er, who learned to draw talismans, so I took back the spiritual stones I was going to give them." Li Dishi said carefully. Wang Yanzhao closed his eyes heavily. "Maybe Wen Hao is right, let's do this for the children first. What about yours? You have worked hard these years. If you really want to build a foundation, I will find a way to buy a foundation pill." Li Dishi nodded silently. "She is a 3 spiritual root, with good qualifications, otherwise she is not worthy of Wang Yanzhao, a 2 spiritual root cultivator. Wang Yanzhao is now over 60 years old. Li Dishi is younger than him and is also over 50. If he does not practice hard, after 60, the chance of building a foundation will be small." Wang Yanzhao knew what she meant when he saw this. Who cannot care about his own path? Li Durong was persuaded by Wang Hao because of this. He put aside the children's affairs and concentrated on practicing. "You go to my cave to retreat. Here is a bottle of Huanglong Dan and 2 spiritual apricots, which should be able to help you." Not long after Wang Yanzhao came out of retreat, Wang Longyu also successfully advanced to the 7th level of foundation building. At this time, Qingyuan sect suddenly made a move and began to recruit family monks to garrison Qingyuan mountain, and they made a solemn promise that as long as the war was won, They would double the compensation for the families participating in the war. If the family's Ling Shan was lost due to supporting Qingyuan's sect, they would not only redivide the Ling Shan, but also compensate them with several foundation-building pills at a time according to the loss to help them recuperate. This chip is not low, which is attractive to many families. After receiving the call-up order, the Lei, Zhao, and Qing families all went out in large numbers, as if they would live and die with Qingyuan's sect. They had no choice. There was little hope of falling out with Maple Leaf Square and turning to Burning Heaven sect. After discussion, the Wang and Li families also decided to send some monks, and the rest would either disperse or break out according to the situation. Chapter 181 Wang Clan. The team leader this time was still Wang Hao, 2 foundation-building monks, and the other was Wang Longyu. The main reason was that Wang Longyu had been dealing with Qingyuan's sect for many years and was easy to communicate with. The Qi training disciples only sent 10 people symbolically. The Wang family had no intention of coexisting with Qingyuan's sect. They followed the principle of fighting if they could and flee if they couldn't. The reason for sending so few people was to facilitate escape. With Wang Hao's Sun and Moon shuttle, as long as the Jindan cultivators didn't chase them, their safety was guaranteed. The Li family had the same idea as Wang Hao. Although the Wang family didn't tell Wang Guangnan where he was going, they seemed to have guessed something and sent an elite team to go overseas. Only one foundation building and several Qi training clan members were sent to support Qingyuan's sect. The leader was Li Durong, who was familiar with Wang Hao. Li Yaozu's calculations were very shrewd. Wang Hao was familiar with Li Durong. He believed that Wang Hao would never abandon her and flee alone. In this way, Li Durong's safety was relatively guaranteed. In the case of ensuring his own safety, Wang Hao would naturally help Li Durong, but the battle between the Jindan forces was not something they could predict. Who could guarantee the safety of the situation at that time? Qingyuan's sect also made great efforts to win over the family cultivators this time, and even let the Wang clan members in the sect receive Wang Hao and his party, as the local overlord, in order to show favor and also as a hostage. Every few decades, the family under it must send a clan member with 3 spiritual roots or above to Qingyuan's sect as an outer disciple. In recent years, the Wang family has sent more than 10 people one after another, but unfortunately these clan members with good qualifications did not receive the treatment they deserved, let alone building a foundation. Many of them died early in Qingyuan's sect. Qingyuan's sect did this to prevent the family power from becoming larger. If there were more foundation-building people from the families in the sect, it would inevitably form a small group. If a Jindan ancestor appeared, then Qingyuan's sect might have to add a surname. Although these Wang clan members did not build a foundation, they married wives and concubines, and formed a Wang clan inside Qingyuan's sect. However, because they came to Qingyuan's sect at different ages, their family affection was weak and they did not form a unity. They were like a pile of loose sand without cohesion. If one of them had a foundation-building ability, they might be able to unite and form a force. Unfortunately, without too many resources, it was impossible to achieve this. They didn't have much contact with the family. After all, their cultivation was not high and they were of no help to the family. The family couldn't keep training them at a loss. With extra resources, it would be more cost-effective to train more cultivators within the family. It can be said that their fate was extremely tragic. The family didn't provide help, and they were not valued in the sect. With low cultivation and no special skills, they could only do some miscellaneous and dirty work. Even if they had good qualifications, they could only waste their lives. This time, the Qingyuan sect sent a grandfather and grandson to receive them. The sect asked them to win over the Wang family. If the Wang family was willing to help the Qingyuan sect overcome the difficulties, their status in the sect could be improved, and even the foundation building would not be a problem. An old man in his 70s has 3 spiritual roots. His name is Wang Ji. He has reached the 9th level of Qi training. He can practice to the 9th level of Qi training under difficult conditions, which shows that he is a hardworking person. If he were in the family, he might have already established his foundation. After all, Wang Hao has quite a few foundation building pills. Another one is Wang Wuling, who is only about 20 years old. He has reached the 5th level of Qi training. She is a beautiful female cultivator with a melon seed face and willow leaf eyebrows. She looks a little weak. She has a cold feeling in her green clothes. Wang Hao saw that her arm seemed to be swollen, and he didn't know what happened. I am Wang Ji, and I meet the elders of the family. This is my granddaughter Wang Wuling. Wang Ji took Wang Wuling's hand and said, hurry up and meet your uncle. Your uncle is a foundation-building cultivator. If you can get a little luck, maybe your path will be smoother. Section 94. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Wu Ling greets uncle. The two kowtowed respectfully to Wang Hao. They had little blood relationship with Wang Hao, and Wang Ji was still his elder. Although they were already far apart in blood relationship, Wang Hao was still a little uncomfortable to have an old man kowtow to him. Without much greeting, he said directly, get up, what instructions does Xuanhuan sect have? The sect only asked us to receive uncle and his party, and did not give us any other instructions. Uncle, just take a good rest. I think if there is any order, the sect will notify uncle in advance. Wang Wuling seemed not good at speaking, but she still said timidly at Wang Ji's signal, yes, there are not many opportunities to improve her status, and she would be a ghost if she didn't want to show it. Alas, Wang Hao sighed, after all, your ancestors also made sacrifices for the family. It is the family that has let you down. If you have any needs, you might as well tell your uncle. As a foundation-building cultivator, your uncle should still be able to help you. It stands to reason that they are no longer considered family cultivators after joining the sect, and they don't have to follow the Wang family's generational ranking. This is obviously the case with Wang Ji. Wang Wuling may not have a generational ranking originally, but he added it to meet Wang Hao to get closer. Although Wang Hao guessed so, he didn't say it. At the same time, he said these words to see their character. If they are not flatterers, it would be convenient to help them casually. Wang Wuling bowed his head and said nothing. Wang Ji wanted to speak but stopped. He wanted to ask for something but was afraid of being abrupt and angering Wang Hao. They have been in the lower levels of the sect for many years. They are not brainless people. They guessed that Wang Hao's words were just polite. If they really made a request, it would be embarrassing. What happened to Wu Ling's hand? Seeing that they didn't speak, Wang Hao nodded slightly with satisfaction and asked proactively. Wang Ji's eyes lit up. Wang Hao seemed to really want to help them, so he replied, Elder, my granddaughter and I are responsible for taking care of the green jade bees for Xuanhuan sect. The spiritual honey produced by this spiritual insect is extremely valuable, but it is quite ferocious and often bites the monks who cut honey. Wu Ling just started doing it and has no experience, so he was bitten a few times. That he rolled up Wang Wu Ling's sleeves and saw that there were indeed several bites on his white arm. The whole arm was swollen, and the bites were slightly black and pus-filled. The low-level monks of the big sects are no better than the monks of the family like Wang Hao. Although Wang Hao has never been at the bottom of the family and has never experienced it, it can be seen from Wang Wenxin and others that the family will never let them do such dangerous work. Does Xuanhuan sect not provide elixirs for treatment? Wang Hao was a little angry. Wang Ji said carefully, yes, there are, but you have to apply to the manager. If you don't have some filial piety, you can't get it at all. That's too much. Wang Hao slammed the table. Even if the capitalists are 996, they still have to pay 5 insurances and 1 housing fund. They understood the first few words, but they were confused by the rest. However, they understood Wang Hao's attitude, but they didn't dare to complain too much when it came to the sect. They stood aside cautiously. Forget it, it's a troubled time, and I can't say much to Xuanhuan sect. Since you come to see me, I'll give you these 2 bottles of elixirs. 1 bottle of detoxification pill can help Wu Ling recover from his injuries, and 2 bottles of Huanglong pills are gifts from me as a clan uncle. Wang Hao was generally satisfied with the performance of these 2 people. It's normal to have some thoughts. How many people living at the bottom of society don't have some thoughts when they meet a rich relative? But if you want to get more help from Wang Hao, you have to continue to observe. Thank you, elder. Wang Ji took the pill and thanked him repeatedly. Seeing Wang Wuling still standing there stupidly, he scolded, why don't you thank your uncle quickly? What are you doing stupidly? Thank you, uncle. Wang Hao waved his hand. Forget it, it's getting late. You can go back first. If you have anything, come to me again. Seeing Wang Hao's words, the two hurriedly said goodbye. Chapter 182 Infant Thunder Tribulation. After the two left, Wang Longyu and others came out from the back and said, this Wang Ji has a lot of little thoughts. I have seen him once when I came to Xuanhuan market before. At that time, I had a distant relationship with these people and didn't say a few words. They are all cultivators who have been rooted in Xuanhuan sect for many years. They can't borrow the power of the family. The relationship with the family is already very indifferent, and there is almost no contact. They are also very pitiful. They have always been at the bottom of Xuanhuan sect and can't see hope. I don't know what Xuanhuan sect promised them this time, so they are so active to approach them, but after all, they are the bloodline of the family, so they will help if they can. Right. Wang Hao nodded. Wang Wuling has good qualifications, and has 3 spiritual roots. If she were placed in the family, she would definitely be the focus of training, but she has wasted her time in this sect. Uncle, I wonder if we should bring her back to the family this time and let her recognize her ancestors again. Xuanhuan sect won't agree. Wang Longyu felt very distressed when he saw that such a good seedling was wasted by Xuanhuan sect. To be honest, the qualifications of those sent by various families are good, and the qualifications of their offspring born from intermarriage are naturally good, but Xuanhuan sect will not train them, unless there is a heaven-defying qualification like Tianlingen or alien spiritual root. As mentioned before, once a foundation-building cultivator appears, these people will definitely gather around the foundation-building cultivator, and small groups will appear in the sect. When the small groups are connected with each other, they can form a force that affects the sect. Wang Hao paced a few steps and analyzed. It depends on the situation of this war. If Master Du succeeds in forming a nascent soul, we naturally can't make this request. However, after Xuanhuan sect becomes a nascent soul sect, it will not suppress the family cultivators so much. They also need to replenish a lot of fresh blood. These children with good qualifications are the first choice. If Master Du fails, even if Xuanhuan sect does not collapse, it will be seriously injured. At that time, they will have to consider our request. Wang Longyu did not comment. Okay, it's too early to talk about these things now. We have been on the road for so long, let's take a rest first. Wang Hao shook his head with a wry smile. They could not control the situation, and it was really useless to say this now, when Master Du, that is, Du Guangqiao, formed a nascent soul, and when he passed the nascent soul thunder tribulation, no one knew the specific time except himself. The 2 Jindan masters of Xuanhuan sect also judged based on the aura emitted from his retreat cave, guessing that the time is approaching. They recruited family cultivators to prepare for guards. In order to help Du Guangqiao form a fetus, they almost took out all the assets of Xuanhuan sect to recruit independent cultivators and win over family cultivators. If they fail, even if Fenshan sect and Wuliang Palace do not start a war, Xuanhuan sect will be seriously injured. In addition, the disciples of Xuanhuan sect are also concentrated in the sect and Xuanhuan market, and only a small number of disciples are left to guard some resource areas outside. The atmosphere in the originally noisy Xuanhuan market has become depressing. Everyone knows that the war is approaching. In the Duanyuan mountain range on the north side of Xuanhuan mountain, 6 Jindan from Fenshan sect and Wuliang Palace are lurking here, and they are also waiting for the moment when Du Guangqiao passes the thunder tribulation. Xianxia actually planned to launch an attack at that time, which would not only destroy Du Guangqiao's fetus formation, but also deal the heaviest blow to the morale of Xuanhuan sect. Fenshan sect only brought half of the foundation building cultivators this time. Wuliang Palace only had dozens of them, and there was no Qi training disciple. In this level of battle, Qi training disciples would not only be unable to help but also become a burden. Xianxia was not a fool. He wanted the 4th level sacred mountain of Xuanhuan sect, but it was too difficult and unrealistic to destroy a Jindan sect with 1,000-year heritage in one fell swoop. Their goal this time was to weaken Xuanhuan sect and at the same time erode the peripheral forces of Xuanhuan sect. After losing these resources, Xuanhuan sect could not afford to support so many cultivators with only a 4th level sacred mountain. Then it would be a matter of grinding and slowly grinding them to death. As time went by, rumors spread in Xuanhuan market, and there were all kinds of statements, but those who could still stay in Xuanhuan market at this time were either employed by Xuanhuan sect or promised, and would not be easily shaken by this rumor. It is important for the weak to stand in the right side. If they stand in the wrong side, they may be doomed, but they are also taboo to waver. Since they have chosen, they must stick to it. 2 months later, Wang Hao was practicing in the room, and suddenly felt a pressure coming, and hurriedly stopped the practice and walked out of the room. I saw that with the gate of Xuanhuan mountain as the center, the area within a radius of hundreds of miles changed dramatically. A strong wind suddenly blew up, and the clouds in the surrounding sky quickly gathered in the sky above Xuanhuan gate, so thick that it seemed as if the sky was about to fall down. Originally, the sun was shining brightly, but in an instant, dark clouds rolled in, filling the entire sky with lightning and thunder, and this rare phenomenon could be seen tens of thousands of miles away. At this time, Wang Longyu and Li Durong also hurried over. What's going on? Is Master Du about to form a baby? Seeing the unpredictable phenomenon, the three of them were all foundation-building cultivators, and could not touch things at that level. They just felt that only Du Guangqiao could cause such a phenomenon. Let all the clansmen gather together, don't move around, something big is going to happen, Wang Longyu hurriedly ordered. In the main hall of Xuanhuan Gate, the remaining 2 Jindan were gathering elite disciples. After everyone was gathered, Master Bailey said, I believe you have also seen that the thunder tribulation is about to come. I can tell you that this is the thunder tribulation of the nascent soul caused by Master Du. If it succeeds, my Xuanhuan sect will become the nascent soul sect. I believe you all understand the benefits without me telling you. Here, he paused and scanned the whole audience, so, I hope you will go all out to protect Master Du and keep the enemy out. Yes, we will definitely go all out. The audience responded in unison. The army was ready, and Master Bailey nodded slightly. Okay, you follow me, and everyone should stay away from the thunder tribulation area immediately to avoid affecting Brother Du's nascent soul. The nascent soul thunder tribulation covers a large area, almost covering the entire main peak of Xuanhuan mountain. At this time, other cultivators had better not get close, because if this scale of thunder tribulation touches the edge, even a cultivator in the middle stage of the golden core will not be able to withstand it. At the same time, the thunder tribulation is a test for the nascent soul cultivator. And this test is only for one person. If outsiders approach, they will be suspected of sharing the pressure for the person who is undergoing the tribulation, and the power of the thunder tribulation will increase, even exceeding the limit that the infant-forming cultivator can withstand. Therefore, when a cultivator forms an infant, the cultivators who protect him will clear the field to prevent others from affecting him. In this way, it is much easier for the Burning Heaven sect to destroy it. They just need to break into the range of the thunder tribulation and increase Du Guangqiao's pressure. Unfortunately, it is not that simple. If you enter the range of the thunder tribulation will also lock you. Do you intend to exchange your life for yours? Under the leadership of Bailey Zhenren, all the cultivators of Xuanhuan sect started to move, patrolling the mountain gate in teams, not letting go of any place. The cultivators of Qingyiwanfang city were also recruited, and the people of Wang and Li were arranged on the outskirts of Xuanhuan mountain. This place is closer to the thunder tribulation than the market, and Wang Hao is more certain that this is definitely not the power that a Jindan cultivator can induce. It should be Du Guangqiao forming a nascent soul. Wang Hao looked at the huge cloud formed by the thunder tribulation for a long time and couldn't come back to his senses. As a foundation-building cultivator, he was lucky or unlucky to witness the nascent soul thunder tribulation with his own eyes. Fortunately, he can gain knowledge and experience from it, but unfortunately, he is inevitably affected by this turmoil. Chapter 183 Jindan Scolding. Several foundation-building cultivators of Wang Hao were shocked, and other Qi training clansmen were even more unbearable when looking at the thunder tribulation. Several of them were even shocked by the gestating thunder and trembled all over. This kind of thunder tribulation is still too powerful for them, even though this place is thousands of miles away, in a cave in Xuanhuan mountain. Hearing the movement outside, the 6 Jindan real people paused at the same time and looked up in the direction of Xuanhuan gate. Sha Dingshan said calmly, the thunder tribulation has arrived, and Du Guangqiao has reached the final stage. When he said this, his eyes revealed a strong jealousy. How can we not go to congratulate the first Yuanying Zhenren of Lijiu Peninsula? He flew out and rushed towards Qingyuan Gate. The other 3 Jindan of Fenchen sect followed closely. The 2 Jindan of Wuliang Palace looked at each other. They didn't want a Yuanying cultivator to appear among their neighbors. This battle was inevitable. They nodded to each other. As neighbors, we should go to congratulate together. In an instant, 6 high-speed escape lights flew towards Qingyuan Gate, followed by 2 warships carrying hundreds of foundation building. In the cave on the top of the main peak of Qingyuan Gate, an old man in a green robe with a fairy-like appearance was meditating with his eyes closed. His painful expression seemed to be experiencing something. This person was Du Guangchao, and he was experiencing the final stage of the heart demon pass of the infant. Once he survived safely, the thunder tribulation in the sky would be completed, and after experiencing the baptism of thunder tribulation, he could become a nascent soul cultivator. Thunder tribulation is not so easy to survive, and most nascent soul cultivators die at this stage. Suddenly, Du Guangchao struggled for a while and suddenly opened his eyes. At the same time, the thunder in the thunder tribulation was completed and locked Du Guangchao's position in the dark. A loud rumbling sound resounded through the sky. However, the thunder had not struck yet, and it would give Du Guangchao a certain amount of preparation time. Otherwise the cultivator who had just experienced the process of the inner demon was still in a trance, and no matter how many means he had, he would not be able to deal with the sudden thunder tribulation. An irresistible pressure from the heavenly way spread in all directions, and it continued to weaken as the distance increased, but its speed was so fast that even Wang Hao did not have time to react. Section 95. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Fortunately, they were far away, and Wang Hao barely withstood the shock wave, but his Qi-refining clan members were not so lucky, and several of them vomited blood and fell to the ground. Wang Hao saw that they were pale, and it was obvious that they had been hit hard. Wang Hao hurried forward to protect them, and at the same time input spiritual power to help them stabilize the fluctuating spiritual energy in their bodies. Damn it, Qingyuan sect must know the power of this thunder tribulation. Why didn't they tell us to defend in advance? Li Durong looked at the distance and said angrily. Wang Hao followed her line of sight and found that the disciples of Qingyuan sect had prepared in advance and were not affected much at all. On the contrary, the independent cultivators and family cultivators fell in a mess. Wang Hao thought that Qingyuan sect was really courting death. They paid such a great price to win over the independent cultivators and family cultivators, but half of them were injured by themselves. The key is that this approach is chilling. Maybe the always arrogant Qingyuan sect didn't take the lives of these ants seriously. It is really unfair that such a sect can still produce nascent soul cultivators. Fortunately, this pressure came and went quickly, and it was mainly targeted at Du Guangchao. After this round, it had no effect on others. Otherwise, if it came 2 or 3 more times, even Wang Hao would not be able to protect the people around him. Just as Wang Hao was healing the wounds of his people, several rays of light suddenly appeared in the sky and flew rapidly towards Qingyuan sect. Here it comes. Wang Hao's sullenness was relieved a lot. With the Burning Heaven sect coming to make trouble, the Qingyuan sect's plan was likely to fail. As for whether the Burning Heaven sect would settle accounts with them later, that was a matter for the future. The Qingyuan sect, a garbage that did not care about the lives of the cultivators under its power, should not exist. With this idea in mind, Wang Hao secretly notified his people and Li Durong, asking them to focus on protecting themselves later. All foundation-building cultivators, follow me to support the sect. An elder of the Qingyuan sect shouted loudly. Li Durong glanced at Wang Hao and advised, let's go. At least we can't disobey the orders of Qingyuan sect on the surface. Wang Hao nodded. Even if the Jindan of Qingyuan sect died in this battle, the remaining hundreds of foundation-building cultivators were not something the Wang family could provoke. On the surface, they still had to pretend to be submissive. Soon, the foundation-building cultivators gathered together and took the flying boat of the Qingyuan sect elders to rush to Qingyuan sect. At this distance, they might need 2/4 of an hour to reach. Zhenren Bailey and Jin Heng stood in the air, staring at the 6 invading Jindan with sharp eyes. Fellow Daoist Shah, although there are some grievances between our 2 sects, they are all things of the past. If my Lijiu Peninsula has a Yuanying cultivator, its status can be improved. which will also be good for you. Why do you have to do this? Sha Dingshan snorted coldly. It sounds good, but the benefits are probably all for you Qingyuan sect, and we are at most running dogs. Who wants their fate to be in the hands of others, that if this resource inadvertently infringes on your rights, please notify us to delete it in time. Since fellow Taoist Bailey wants to talk, then let fellow Taoist do stop forming a baby, and we can sit down and talk. Master Bailey still didn't give up. Although they also prepared a trump card, his injury had not healed, and his strength was still not enough to compete with the 6 golden cores of Burning Heaven sect and Wuliang Palace. I can guarantee that as long as you retreat, my Qingyuan sect will never wage war against your sect. Even if your sect previously plundered my Qingyuan sect's territory, I can decide not to pursue it. Old man Bailey, don't delay any more. How can you let others snore beside your bed? Today, Sha will never let Du Guangqiao easily form a baby. How dare you, Sha Dingshan, are you going to fight to the death with my Qingyuan sect? I will grant you your wish today, Bailey Zhenren shouted angrily, but he still wanted to delay time and turn to the 2 cultivators of Wuliang Palace. Wen Ruixin, my Qingyuan sect has kept its distance from you for hundreds of years. If you retreat, I will pretend that nothing happened today. His voice was as loud as thunder, and it spread all over the place. Wang Hao in the flying boat could hear it clearly. Humph, your Qingyuan sect is overbearing, monopolizing the trade routes, disturbing the neighbors, and squeezing the power of the sect. This is unacceptable. I am just doing justice for the heavens and saving tens of thousands of suffering monks. If you surrender now and let old man Du stop forming infants, we can still spare your life. When Ruixin said without changing his expression, Wang Hao agreed with this. Qingyuan sect was indeed a bit overbearing and deserved to be punished. Ha ha ha, you are confusing right and wrong, despicable and shameless. If you want to die, come. I have never seen such a shameless person. Bailey Zhenren was so angry that his hair and beard stood up, and he laughed in anger. A dying man, brother Wen, don't be angry. When we take down Qingyuan sect, won't he let you do whatever you want? Sha Dingshan laughed coldly. Then let's see if you have the ability to do it, said Bailey Zhenren angrily. He shook the spirit beast bag in his hand, and a golden light flashed. A black giant eagle and a green turtle appeared in the air. They were both 3rd-level spirit beasts. Their bodies kept growing and finally became as big as a small mountain. 3rd-level black feather eagle and black water turtle. When Ruixin of Wuliang Palace said the names of the 2 spirit beasts, they had expected the difficulty of today's battle, but they didn't expect that there would be 2 3rd-level middle-grade spirit beasts. The intelligence of spirit beasts at this stage is not inferior to that of ordinary people, and their skin is thick and tough, which is more difficult to deal with than the same-level Jindan cultivators. Now it's 6-4. Although they still have the advantage, they may not be able to break through the defense before Du Guangqiao forms a baby. Chapter 184 Shanghai Sanren. Sha Dingshan smiled contemptuously, shook the spirit beast bag on his waist, and a 2-headed python appeared in the air. A 3rd-grade upper-grade monster. When did the 2-headed beast of the Burning Heaven sect advance to the 3rd-grade upper-grade? Bailey Zhenren was shocked. Hey, at this time, a sigh suddenly came from the sky, and an old man in a grey robe with a fairy-like appearance appeared from the clouds. This person is called Shanghai Sanren, a Jindan Sanren active in the South China Sea cultivation world. He has no sect or school, but he is very powerful. He has reached the late Jindan stage, so he has made a great reputation. This time, he reached a deal with Qingyuan sect and had to intervene in this matter. He originally planned to attack halfway unexpectedly, but at this moment, the power was unbalanced, so he could only show up early. Fellow Taoist Shanghai, do you really want to intervene in today's matter? Are you an enemy of my Burning Heaven sect? Fellow Taoist Sha, I naturally have my reasons, no need to say more. Zhenren Shanghai has been in the South China Sea for hundreds of years, and has experienced countless dangers. He really doesn't take the threat of a mere Jindan sect to heart. Shadingshan gnashed his teeth in anger, but he couldn't do anything about him. Boom, That at this moment, the thunder in the sky finally brewed, and a dazzling and thick lightning quickly struck the main peak of Xuanhuan. With a loud bang, the building on the main peak of Xuanhuan was blown into ruins. Through the thick dust, Du Guangqiao was faintly seen sitting cross-legged in it. He held a formation plate in both hands, intercepting most of the power of the thunder. Only a small part of it entered his body through the formation curtain, constantly tempering his body and true essence. At this time, he already had the strength to transcend the Jindan cultivator. As long as the true essence in his body was tempered by the thunder, he could become a true Yuanian cultivator. Do it. Seeing this, Xianxia suddenly made a move. The thunder tribulation of the infant formation is usually between 5 and 10. The more thunders you experience, the stronger your strength will be. Shanghai Sanren took the initiative to face the most difficult two-headed python. He did not intend to fight to the death, but fought and ran, slowly leading the two-headed python away. Xianxia winked at Wen Ruixin, who nodded imperceptibly. The next moment, the two groups of people attacked together, turning into 10 streams of light and approaching at high speed. Xianxia was originally facing Beilijinren, but halfway through, he suddenly turned his body and rushed towards the black-feathered eagle. When Ruixin also abandoned Jinhang, took out a pair of golden scissors, and rushed towards the black-feathered eagle. Obviously, he wanted to cut off the wings first. The black-feathered eagle was already facing a Jindan cultivator, and now there was a late Jindan and a middle Jindan cultivator. Even if it was extremely fast, it could not dodge in such a short time. Not good. Beilijinren's face changed drastically, and he chased after him frantically. A flash of fire passed in front of Beilijinren, and he could only stop to defend himself. Zhu Neng, who was opposite, stood in the air, holding a long spear spewing fire, staring coldly at Beilijinren. After being delayed like this, it was too late to rescue the black feather eagle. It was a deliberate plan. The black feather eagle was completely caught off guard. It was just a face-to-face encounter, accompanied by a miserable wail. The black feather eagle's protective aura collapsed, and was killed on the spot by the 3 people. The huge body was torn to pieces by the violent true essence, and the sky seemed to be raining blood. The whole battle was only a short moment, a breath of time, a flash of lightning. The black feather eagle, who was comparable to a mid-stage Jindan cultivator, died just like that. Seeing this, Master Bailey was furious and furious. Without the black feather eagle, they could not defend against the enemy. After Master Bailey gritted his teeth and swallowed a secret medicine, his strength suddenly increased, and he began to attack Sha Dingshan and Wen Ruixin frantically. It's just a fight of trapped beasts. Sha Dingshan sneered and fought back. The 3 fought fiercely, and the air in the distance was turbulent. With the battle as the center, it was stimulated in all directions, and rumbling explosions continued to sound. The terrifying spiritual power of the Jindan strongmen burst out with dazzling light and scorching temperature, and even the surrounding air fluctuated. For a time, ripples appeared in the sky, changing unpredictably, and many low-level cultivators stood there in a daze. The flying boat shook slightly, and Wang Hao and many foundation-building cultivators were silent. The foundation-building elders of Qingyuan's sect had stopped moving forward. No one was willing to die. This is the power of the Jindan. Being in the flying boat, I still felt a sense of panic from the soul. The battle in the distance was still slightly visible at the beginning, but as the movements of the Jindan cultivators became faster and faster, the explosions became more and more dense, and he could only see roughly under the dazzling light. Boom! Another thunder struck down, and the array plate in Du Guangqiao's hand was completely broken. After experiencing 2 thunders, his momentum increased again. At this moment, 2 huge warships arrived, and hundreds of foundation-building monks from the Burning Heaven sect jumped out of the warships and began to attack the formation. There were also beams of light shooting out from the warships, constantly bombarding the Qingyuan sect formation. The monks of the Qingyuan sect also manipulated the formation to fight back, and cast spells one after another, and the monks on both sides continued to be killed and injured. Not good, retreat quickly. Someone found that a gun muzzle on the warship was turned towards them, and shouted in fear. But in an instant, a bright light came and hit the flying boat that everyone was riding. The protective shield of the flying boat only lasted for a moment before it shattered. Wang Hao's heart jumped, and the alarm bell rang loudly. He reached out and grabbed Wang Longyu and Li Durong, and led them to retreat frantically. During this time, he bumped into several monks and blew them away. After the rumbling explosion, the flying boat was completely shattered, and Wang Hao and others fell to the ground like a falling meteor. Wang Hao's mind was stunned, but fortunately he had extraordinary spiritual awareness and did not faint. He quickly looked for Wang Longyu and Li Durong and found them not far away. Wang Hao quickly ran over and stopped them. Section 96. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As soon as he landed, a cultivator from the Burning Heaven sect caught up with him. He was a late-stage foundation-building cultivator. A late-stage foundation-building cultivator shouted loudly, trying to gather the remaining cultivators on his side. This person was called Xianxia, also a family cultivator with good strength. He also knew Wang Hao before. At this time, the situation was still unclear, and it was not time to escape, so Wang Hao injected 2 spiritual powers to wake up Li Durong and Wang Longyu, and also escape to this person's side. Kill. Seeing several Burning Heaven sect cultivators coming in the distance, Wang Hao directly used a magic weapon to hit the late-stage foundation-building cultivator who blocked their way. Many attacks hit that person, and the late-stage foundation-building cultivator was not a golden elixir, and the man's means were ordinary, so he had no power to resist at all. Several shields on his body were instantly broken, and his body was broken into several pieces. The death was extremely tragic. That person was too arrogant. He dared to come alone to intercept Wang Hao and his companions. He might think that they still lost their fighting power after being hit by the Jindan cultivator, so he wanted to come and pick up the storage bag, not as strong as them, but greedy. This is the end. Wang Hao and his companions ran all the way, relying on the evil map to move forward to a remote place, which was much safer. Unfortunately, the evil map can only show the situation of monsters, not cultivators. Not long after, an 8-man team drove a flying boat to Wang Hao. Catch them. The leading Burning Heaven sect cultivator ordered. Wang Hao looked around and found that there was no one else except this team of Burning Heaven sect cultivators. If he didn't deal with them, he couldn't run away. So he didn't hold back and released many magic weapons and spirit beasts. Facing a mid-stage foundation-building cultivator, Wang Hao directly launched the God-splitting cone. Die. Chapter 185 Jindan Self-Explosion. The man's brain was like a heavy hammer. Although he didn't die immediately, he didn't have the strength to fight for the time being. Wang Hao would not give him a chance to live. The spiritual sword in his hand flashed, and the speed was so fast that a sonic boom sounded, and he beheaded him with one sword. The silver shadow needle and the white hair divine needle were launched at the same time, and 10 spiritual needles shot at another mid-stage foundation-building cultivator of the Burning Heaven sect. The man only had a flying sword in his hand. He hurriedly sacrificed the magic weapon when he saw Wang Hao attacking him. Unfortunately, he was too slow, and Wang Hao's flying needles had already reached him, for flying needles instantly pierced his body, and one of them in the middle of his eyebrows had already left him no chance of survival. At this time, the other 6 cultivators reacted and hurriedly summoned magic weapons to attack. One of the mid-stage foundation-building cultivators in black took out a heavy hammer and smashed it at Wang Hao. Physical cultivation. Then let's see who has better physical training between the two of us. Wang Hao directly used the Yuntao shield to take it. With a bang, he successfully put down the heavy hammer. Wang Hao's feet flashed with spiritual light, and he quickly flashed in front of this person. In his surprised eyes, he stabbed with a sword. With a sizzling sound, the green sword pierced the body of the black monk, but the black monk was wearing an inner armor. Although it was pierced by Wang Hao's green sword, it did not penetrate deeply. At the critical moment, the black monk stretched out his hand to try to hold Wang Hao's green sword. Wang Hao hurriedly pulled the green sword, but it did not move. After a closer look, he found that the black monk was wearing a glove with a glowing light, firmly holding the green sword. The black monk and Wang Hao smiled proudly at the same time. The next moment, the black monk's body was separated. A small red sword appeared in Wang Hao's hand, and drops of blood dripped from the blade along the tip of the sword. 8-3, plus Wang Hao's spirit beast, 8-4 instantly became 5-8. At this time, the monks of the Burning Heaven sect realized that their identities had changed, from hunters to prey, and their faces were terrified, and they began to flee in all directions. Unfortunately, it was too late. With Wang Hao firing at full power and so many helpers, there was no way they could escape. The last person was caught up by Wang Hao's three figures and beheaded with a sword. Fellow Daoist Wang, you. Xianxia reacted. He didn't expect to win the battle so easily. Xianxia was dumbfounded, as if he had reacquainted himself with Wang Hao, and was so shocked that he couldn't speak. This is the middle stage of foundation building. Why is his combat power stronger than that of a late stage of foundation building? By the way, this person seemed to have killed 3 of the other party's cultivators in an instant, so terrifying. I just have more tricks than the average middle stage of foundation building, Wang Hao said lightly. Xianxia was stunned when he asked, you are too modest. Fellow Daoist Wang's strength is far superior to mine. This is not the place to talk, let's go. Wang Hao didn't want to listen to people's flattery at this time. Xianxia nodded, but just as they were about to escape from the quasi-god, a crazy voice came. Ah, come on. Bailey Jinren's body seemed to crack, and a dazzling aura burst out from his body, and his flesh and blood were quickly dissolving. No, Bailey Lauer is going to self-destruct, run. Xianxia exclaimed and retreated quickly. Then a violent explosion broke out with Bailey Jinren as the center. Boom. A dazzling white light lit up, and the originally blue sky turned dark. The thunderous sound accompanied by the shock wave quickly dissipated in all directions, and the nearby monks and buildings and plants were instantly melted, and those who were farther away were also blown to the ground, with bleeding ears and noses. Bailey Lauer, ah. A Jindan early-stage monk of the Burning Heaven sect was swallowed up by the explosion with only a scream. The power was like a nuclear explosion, and a huge mushroom cloud rose, shining with the thundercloud of the tribulation on the side. Such a doomsday-like scene made Wang Hao and others tremble with fear. For a moment, they couldn't help but slow down and stared blankly at the big explosion in the distance. Terrifying, so terrifying. No, Xuanhuan is still alive. Xianxia suddenly pointed at a figure on the side of the explosion and said. Wang Hao quickly looked over and saw that Xuanhuan's clothes were in tatters and he had long since lost his ancestral posture of immortality. However, he still stood out of thin air and could not see any injuries. I've been on guard against this move of yours, how could I let you succeed? Xuanhuan sneered and said sarcastically. Ahem, when Ruixin also flew into the air again. He looked even more embarrassed than Xuanhuan. With a few faint blood stains on his body, the 3 golden elixirs who besieged Xianxia turtle were not so lucky in the early stage. One was melted directly, another had an arm and a leg missing, and one was a little further away and felt uncomfortable. The magic weapon in his hand, the robes on his body were smashed to pieces, and his body was stained with blood, and he stood naked in the air. Only Jin Heng and Zhu Nang were lucky. Perhaps Bailey Jinren was worried about Jin Heng and did not approach their area. Boom! The third thunder struck down. The big bowl in Du Guangqiao's hand emitted a bright spiritual light, resisting most of the power of the sky thunder, and his body was tempered again. Judging from the density of the thunder clouds above, it is no longer as dense as before. Maybe in 2 or 3 more times, he will be able to successfully conceive a baby, and he also has a spare magic weapon in his hand. So there is great hope, Xuanhuan said. Fellow Taoists, take action quickly. If we don't stop him, it will be too late. Xuanhuan released a flying sword and hit Du Guangqiao, who was going through the tribulation, when Ruixin and Zhu Ning also took out their magic weapons to attack Du Guangqiao. Asshole! Blocking people's path is worse than killing their parents, Du Guangqiao shouted loudly, raised his hands, and a huge amount of sand and gravel was poured out of the giant yellow bowl. Du Guangqiao pushed lightly with his hands, and a gust of wind appeared from his hands. The sand and gravel were swept out by the wind, smashing all the buildings and vegetation along the way. Xuanhuan struggled to control the giant sword, inputting his true energy crazily, and even his face turned red from suppressing it. Fortunately, just when he was about to lose control, when Ruixin and the others rushed over, and the 4 magic weapons violently collided in the air, there was a loud rumbling sound, and the power was only 1 or 2 points smaller than the self-destruction of the golden elixir just now. The magic weapons of the three people from Xianxia stepped back and looked less bright than before. One of them even had cracks. Du Guangqiao steadily caught the giant yellow bowl. Sand and gravel flew out in all directions, killing many disciples on both sides, but at this time, it was obvious that Du Guangqiao and others could no longer care about them. When Ruixin, the head of Wuliang Palace, said, "Even if we risk our lives today, we will never let him have a baby. Otherwise, with today's revenge, none of our sect disciples will be able to survive. Since you want to die early, I will help you first." Du Guangqiao suddenly poured real energy into the giant bowl, and more sand and gravel began to pour out, but at this moment, there was a sudden bang in the sky. The fourth thunder struck at this moment. Du Guangqiao looked at the three people from Xianxia unwillingly. If he struck out with this blow, the three people from Xianxia would be killed or crippled, and the threat to him would be greatly reduced, but facing the threat of thunder, he could only change his direction and face the thunder with all his strength. "Ha ha ha, even God is helping us, fellow Taoist one, work harder." Xianxia laughed wildly. Naturally, when Ruixin would not miss such a good opportunity. He took out Wuliang Palace's magic weapon, Wuliang Fusheng, and waved it at Du Guangqiao with all his strength, wrapping it around his body. Zhu Ning fought off Jin Heng and threw the spear in his hand at Du Guangqiao. The three attacks were more powerful than before. Even if Du Guangqiao was not threatened by the thunder at this time, it would still be quite difficult to resolve them. Chapter 186. The end. Obviously we cannot remain indifferent at this time. Section 97. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Du Guangqiao let out a long sigh, turned the giant bowl in his hand, and faced the three people from Xianxia again. Sand and gravel flew out all over the sky, forming a huge barrier and dispelling the power of the two magic weapons. Crack! That the sky thunder suddenly struck down and directly hit Du Guangqiao's body, sending him flying dozens of feet away from where he was. Du Guangqiao, who fell to the ground, couldn't help but tremble a few times, his gray hair and beard. All stood upright, however, because the whisk wrapped around him. Although it restricted his movement, it also offset part of his power, causing him to be seriously injured, but not fatal. "Ah, my whisk." When Ruixin hurriedly took back the Wuliang whisk. Seeing the burnt whisk, he felt distressed and regretful. He actually did the stupid thing of protecting Du Guangqiao from the thunder. Du Guangqiao coughed up a trace of blood, with a look of reluctance on his face. He had practiced for 400 years and gone through a lot of hardships before he reached the late stage of the golden elixir. He also used the power of the sect to find the Jiaying spiritual object. It's just one step away, just one step away. Du Guangqiao looked at the people who were blocking him, and the unwillingness in his eyes turned into anger. With a voice like a fierce ghost, he shouted in a low voice, "You, all deserve to die. Friend Taoist one, leave quickly and let him play with Lei Jie." Xianxia quickly retreated. "Okay," he said. The remaining golden elixir did not care about his own injuries and desperately used his spiritual power to fly to the outside. How could Du Guangqiao make them happy? Want to leave? Ask me if I agree. That he looked at several people with dark eyes and struggled to get up. 3 black beads were thrown out in his hand, directly smashing the 2 injured Jindan monks to death. "Silly boy, you are the one who has the best chance of conceiving a baby. I will let you taste how it feels to have your path ruined first." Du Guangqiao used all his strength, his figure flashed quickly, and he came directly in front of Xianxia. He turned into a fist with one hand and slammed into Xianxia. Xianxia was shocked. What kind of magical power is this? Although he tried his best to dodge, Du Guangqiao still punched several of his meridians, damaging his foundation. "How's it going? It doesn't taste good." Du Guangqiao sneered and sneered. Just when he was about to finish the attack, a loud roar appeared, and then a fierce attack struck. It was the two-headed python that was led away. Xianxia was also a decisive person. With the hope of escaping, he risked his injuries to get worse and forced his way out, widening the distance between him and Du Guangqiao. Evil beast! Du Guangqiao cursed angrily but did not pursue him. If he pursues him, it will be difficult to kill him with the protection of the two-headed python. Instead, he turned his body and punched Zhu Neng. Zhu Neng was not in the middle stage of the golden elixir and couldn't bear it at all. He was instantly silent. You should die too. Du Guangqiao turned to Wen Ruixin, preparing to do the same thing, but at this moment, thunder struck again. Although Du Guangqiao tried his best to attack, he was hit by thunder at the same time, and the power of the fist shadow was greatly reduced. Although Wen Ruixin was severely injured by vomiting blood, it was not fatal. When Xianxia saw this, his heart was filled with anger, and he directly ordered Shuangshou Mang to kill Jin Heng. If the Qingyuan sect lost the last golden elixir, even if he and his junior brother could not leave the mountain due to healing, the disciples under the sect could still kill Qingyuan. The door was destroyed. You evil beast, where are you running? At this time, Shanghai Sanren from the horizon also chased after him, blocking the two-headed python and protecting the seriously injured Jin Heng behind him. Ha! Du Guangqiao smiled happily. Fellow Taoist Shanghai, the Qingyuan sect will be handed over to you from now on. I will die with no regrets. He fought back before his death, killing 3 Jindan and seriously injuring 2 others. Qingyuan sect also had Shanghai Sanren. This golden elixir helped guard him in the later stage. In this way, even if Shanghai Sanren leaves in a few decades, Qingyuan sect can still recover part of its vitality. As for what to do in the future, he can't control it. He has done everything he can, and he is already worthy of all the ancestors of Qingyuan sect. Du Guangqiao used his last strength to raise his head and said to Wen Ruixin, Fellow Taoist one, today all 3 of my gates have been lost, but Sardan Mountain still has hope of attacking the nascent soul. I think you are a smart man and know what to do, ahem. Wen Ruixin clutched his chest in pain, with mixed feelings in his heart. Wuliang Palace suffered huge losses in this battle. As Du Guangqiao said, their enemy at this time had changed from the Qingyuan sect to the Burning Sky sect. Hey, fellow Taoist Du, I have failed to fulfill my trust, I am so ashamed. Shanghai Sanren said with shame as he looked at Du Guangqiao who had little life left. There was no resentment in Du Guangqiao's eyes, and he said calmly, no need to say more. Fellow Taoist Shanghai, I only hope that you can abide by the agreement and protect the Qingyuan sect for 50 years. Preserve the inheritance of the Qingyuan sect. Don't worry, fellow Taoist Du, I will definitely do what I promised. Shanghai Sanren also has his own plan. Qingyuan sect promised to lend him the spirit mountain to attack the nascent soul, and at the same time, it also helped him search for some spiritual objects he needed, as well as various collections in the sect, experience in forming a baby, etc., but at a price it was he who had to protect Du Guangqiao's baby, and also guard the Qingyuan sect for 50 years. But trading with the Jindan sect and trading with the nascent soul sect are 2 different things. If Du Guangqiao successfully conceives a baby, will he still fulfill this seemingly unfair deal? The current situation is what Shanghai Sanren wants. A complete sect. He has become the de facto leader. All the resources of Qingyuan sect are for his use. Isn't it much better than expecting Du Guangqiao to abide by the deal? Everything was as expected by Shanghai Sanren. He stopped the ecstasy in his heart. Hundreds of years of experience as a Sancher had already made him calm. He turned to look at Sha Dingshan and Wen Ruixin, 2 fellow Taoists. If you still haven't retreated, do you still want to ask me for some advice? Xianxia was speechless. He had planned carefully, but he didn't expect that Shanghai Sanren would take advantage of him, but now he was seriously injured and could only sigh helplessly. Dao Yu Shanghai, we met each other in the mountains and rivers. See you again in the future. He called the 2-headed python to roll up another Jindan, and some foundation-building disciples in the sect, turned into a beam of light and retreated in a hurry. However, the cultivators of the Burning Heaven sect were scattered because of their hasty escape. The 2-headed python only took away most of them, and dozens of foundation-building disciples were left behind. Whether they can survive can only depend on whether the Qingyuan sect is merciful. Xianxia left, so Wen Ruixin naturally didn't dare to stay. He fled in a hurry without saying a word. and didn't even take the remaining dozen foundation-building cultivators under his sect with him. Du Guangqiao looked into the distance and slowly closed his eyes. Jin Heng stood on the top of the mountain, staring blankly at the body of his senior brother, and tears soon filled his eyes. Fenshan sect, Wuliang Palace, I, Jin Heng, swear that I will never stop fighting with you in this life. Never stop, never stop. The Qingyuan sect's cultivators shouted sadly, and the sound shook the sky. Songhai Sanren looked at all this and was quite touched, but he was used to being free and easy, and he would not stay in Qingyuan's sect for a long time. He was just borrowing the treasure land to form a nascent soul. Of course, after becoming a nascent soul cultivator, many trivial matters also need to be handled by manpower. If Qingyuan's sect is easy to use, he doesn't mind giving more care. Don't let those Fenshan sect cultivators go, avenge the master. Suddenly there was a loud shout, and the Qingyuan sect cultivators woke up and looked angrily at the remaining foundation-building cultivators of Fenshan sect and Wuliang Palace. These people were abandoned by the sect and were destined to be used by Qingyuan sect to vent their anger. Wang Hao and the others looked at each other, and Wang Longyu said calmly, "We have to turn back." Fellow Daoist Wang is mature and prudent, and I agree. Since Qingyuan sect has not fallen, we are all families living here, so we can't run away anymore. Otherwise, Qingyuan sect may settle accounts later. Qian Jiadao nodded in agreement, and took out the magic weapon, ready to encircle and suppress the remaining burning heaven sect monks. Chapter 187 Grave Soil. Everyone should be careful, don't disperse. It's not good to be killed by Qingyuan sect disciples who are crazy about killing. Wang Hao couldn't help but speculate about Qingyuan sect with the greatest malice. They might really do such a thing. It's right. Qian Jiadao agreed with this. He had seen Wang Hao's fighting power, a god of warlike existence, and then he felt safer in his heart. They chose 1 or 2 foundation-building targets to intercept, instead of touching those in groups of 3 or 5, which not only ensured the benefits, but also avoided accidents. With 4 foundation builders and Wang Hao no longer hiding his strength, the opponents they encountered basically could not last more than 3 rounds. As long as they were blocked, no one could escape. They were even killed instantly several times. The key was that the fleeing cultivators were panicked and had no fighting spirit. These foundation builders were all very wealthy, and many of them had wealth worth 10,000 or 20,000 spirit stones. Of course, there were also those who had few spirit stones. The most infuriating thing was that a slightly fat cultivator carried 5 storage bags, but after checking them one by one, only a few magic tools and a few bottles of healing pills were found. Bah, bad luck, this person brought so many empty storage bags. I think he was going to plunder Qingyuan sect, but he died here first. Qian Jiadao kicked the man's body hard and cursed. Forget it, fellow Daoist Qian, the person is dead, don't disturb him. Wang Longyu advised. Although they killed the person, they had no hatred, and they were not evil cultivators, so there was no need to make him restless after death. What's that? Qian Jiadao didn't take it seriously. He kicked again before stopping and whispered, I just met a group of Qingyuan sect disciples. I talked to them for a few words. Guess how they plan to deal with the bodies of these burning heaven sect monks? Wang Hao shook his head. Dao Yu, just say it directly. I really can't guess. Qian Jiadao raised his eyebrows. I heard from them that they want to pull out the tendons and skin of these people, make white sails for memorial, and then burn the rest into ashes to use as grave soil for the 2 Jindan monks. What the hell? Wang Hao suddenly became Spartan and felt goosebumps all over his body. You don't believe it? Hey, I didn't believe it at first. Qian Jiadao raised his head and pointed at the Qingyuan sect disciples in the distance and said, look at their methods, so cruel, it's not surprising to do such a thing. The truth is clear. Wang Hao also believes that the Qingyuan sect's unscrupulous way of doing things can do things that humiliate the other party's corpses. But who came up with the idea of using grave soil as grave soil? Is this torturing the enemy or torturing the 2 dead ancestors? When you go to worship, isn't it scary? Forget it, if you don't believe it, then don't believe it. I'll pretend I never said it. Otherwise, it will be bad if Qingyuan's sect knows it. Don't worry, fellow Taoist, we are all tight-lipped people and won't spread this matter, Wang Longyu promised. The four continued to move, but they deliberately stayed away from the disciples of Qingyuan's sect. Xian Jiadao's words just now were really creepy. Half an hour later, the shouting and killing gradually subsided, and the whole mountaintop was quiet. It was already evening, and the sunset in the sky fell on Qingyuan Mountain, the blood-stained corpses, the big pits caused by the explosion of the battle, and the crooked trees constructed a cruel picture after the war. Walking on the blood-stained road, Wang Hao sighed. Many corpses were very young, and several female cultivators had the appearance of stars in their previous lives. Forget it, this is not the point. They were originally pursuing the Great Way, but died in the midst of disputes. There are still some enemies that have not been caught. Should we continue to chase them? Xian Jiadao licked his lips and said eagerly. Wang Hao looked down on the few spiritual stones on these people and was a little tired, so he said, those who can escape the encirclement are all quite capable. Let's forget it. We have already gained a lot. After fighting for so long, our spiritual power also needs to be replenished. Fellow Taoist Qian, let's forget it. Li Durong also said. Xian Jiadao smiled when he heard it. I am just saying it. Since the two fellow Taoists are not going to go, let's go to the manager of Qingyuan sect. They should be very interested in the corpses of these monks from Fenshan sect. Maybe they can sell them for a good price. That he collected the corpses along the way, and this was his plan. Thinking of the grave soil, Wang Hao felt a chill. Wang Hao moved his lips, but finally said nothing. He had killed them, and doing anything seemed hypocritical. Section 98. You are listening at MaleProtagonist. Several people walked towards the Qingyuan gate. They also encountered some corpses on the way. The storage bags and magic weapons on their bodies had disappeared. Judging from their clothes, they were not people from the Burning Heaven sect or Wuyang Palace. I wanted to find the corpses of these people. It's not worth anything. There was no one to collect the bodies for them, and it might take a few days before relatives came to look for them. Occasionally, Wang Hao and the other four came across corpses that no one had picked up, and they casually put the magical artifacts and storage bags into their pockets. Maybe the Qingyuan sect would collect these relics and return them to their family, but who can say for sure? Just return it when the time comes. Isn't this Zhao Gaofang? Why did he die here? Li Durong looked shocked. Wang Hao looked over with a complicated expression. Zhao Gaofang's body was broken into two parts, and his intestines were spilled all over the floor. We have fought side by side several times. I remember that Zhao Gaofang's strength during the monster rebellion was not bad. However, on this kind of battlefield, such strength is obviously not outstanding. He died silently and did not cause the slightest ripples. Pack him up and return him to the Zhao family in a few days. Wang Longyu looked at Qian Jiadao apologetically. Fellow Taoist Qian, this person is the head of our Zhao family in Qingyuan, so this magical weapon and storage bags. I understand that I am not a greedy person. Since I am a fellow Taoist, I should naturally help when I meet him. Xian Jiadao quickly returned the storage bag that he had just quickly collected. Along the way, they gradually found the corpses of several familiar family monks, and they all helped to collect them. As more and more familiar corpses are found, there is no more laughter. Everyone fell silent. These people were on the periphery and could still save corpses, but many monks from Qingyuan sect were affected by the Golden Core War and did not even leave corpses behind. Wang Hao and four others came to the foot of Qingyuan Gate. Many people gathered here, mostly casual cultivators and family cultivators, with only a few Qingyuan sect disciples to receive them. What are you doing? Seeing Wang Hao and four others arriving, a disciple of the Qingyuan sect asked, a female cultivator in white. We are the monks who came with Elder He to support us. These three fellow Taoists are from Qingyuan. I am Qian Jiadao, the head of the Qian family in Banyuefang. Qian Jiadao replied quickly. Senior brother He. Where are the others? This person obviously knew the leader of the team, Elder He, and asked hurriedly. The flying boat we were riding in was hit by a golden pill monk from the Burning Sky sect. Elder He and several fellow Taoists have already seen your brother He. The female cultivator in white cried out sadly, and for a moment she looked at Wang Hao and the other four angrily. Then why are you alive? Wang Hao felt bad. He was not afraid of women being strong, but he was afraid that there was something wrong with his brain. This female cultivator might not have any feelings for Elder He. We were at the stern of the ship. We all fell to the ground under the explosion of the flying boat. There were still more than a dozen Taoist friends alive at that time. However, we were chased by monks from the Burning Sky sect along the way. Only 4 of us were left. This fellow Taoist, Elder He's death has nothing to do with us. Xianxia explained quickly. Only the 4 of you escaped. The female cultivator in white still looked suspicious as she asked, how to prove it? Who knows if you are connected with the monks of the Burning Sky sect, so they let you go? No. This elder cannot slander us like this. Xianxia suddenly panicked and quickly took out the corpses of 7 or 8 Burning Heaven sect monks. We killed these all. Several fellow Taoists from your sect also met them on the way, and they can all prove it to us. Who knows if you saw the Burning Heaven sect retreating and killed people to silence them in order to prevent the secret from being leaked. Wang Hao was speechless for a moment. This woman could really make up stories instead of making up stories. Chapter 188 10-Year Development Plan. Junior Sister. At this time, another monk from the Xuanhuan sect came over. Wang Hao saw that it was Qin Qing. Qin Qing winked at Wang Hao, but Wang Hao understood and did not recognize him. Qin Qing said, Junior Sister Mu, I am also very sad about the death of Senior Brother He, but people cannot be resurrected after death. At this time, the sect has many affairs and we need to unite sincerely. Our enemy is the Burning Sky sect, not the families under these sections. Monk, she glanced at Wang Hao and others. These family monks responded to the sect's call and came to support them. How can they frame others, which is chilling. With Qin Qing's words, the female cultivator finally gave up interrogating Wang Hao and others, and asked Elder He where he died. After Wang Hao and others pointed the direction, they flew away with red eyes. Hey, Junior Sister Mu and Senior Brother He were originally going to become Taoist partners, so he lost control of his emotions when he heard about Senior Brother He's death. Don't mind. Qin Qing looked at the others apologetically. I don't mind, not at all, Xianxia said quickly. She looked at Wang Hao and said through a message, Brother Wang is here to settle his contribution, right? Wang Hao nodded. We intercepted several monks from Burning Heaven sect and Wuliang Palace, and collected many corpses of our colleagues and their storage bags along the way. I want to ask the sect how to deal with it. You will tell the story of the battle clearly and submit the evidence at the same time. After verification by the sect, the corresponding contribution can be issued. However, the sect's losses this time are too large and cannot be exchanged in the short term. Qin Qing sighed, as for what I don't know when I can exchange it. I advise you to keep the harvest for yourself. Once it is given to the sect, I am afraid it will not be returned to their family. Xuanhuan sect is now in shortage of supplies. Wang Hao has already anticipated this situation. It seems that this wave of accounts is destined to be missed. Wang Hao briefly discussed the situation with Xianxia and the 3 of them, and the 4 of them unanimously decided to just tell the story, hand over the body as evidence, and share the contribution equally among the 4. Previously, Wang Hao had broken through and killed several people by himself, but he didn't have time to collect the bodies at that time. He used the magic weapon to prove that it was purely a meat bun to beat a dog. Wang Hao was not good at doing this kind of thing. Without evidence, the Xuanhuan sect would probably not admit it, and Wang Hao could only suffer this hidden loss. However, the 4 people still gained a lot, with an average score of 1 point, and each of them got at least 150,000 spiritual stones. The disciples of Xuanhuan sect quickly killed all the monks from Burning Heaven sect and Wuliang Palace. Jin Heng personally took action at the last moment and caught a few fish that slipped through the net. He had redressed Du Guangqiao in the most common clothes, and his body rested on a high platform in front of the square. Jin Heng stared at the thousands of disciples, waved his hand gently, and several Xuanhuan sect disciples escorted a dozen Burning Heaven sect monks with bruises and swollen faces out of the procession. Several Xuanhuan sect monks kicked their knees hard. These Burning Sky sect monks all knelt down in front of Du Guangchao, and then more than a dozen Xuanhuan sect monks appeared behind them with machetes. Jinheng said, "Today, I will use your blood to pay tribute to senior brother Du. When I come to Japan, I will kill you at the gate of Fenchen sect." He waved heavily with one hand. Behead. More than a dozen heads fell to the ground, and the square was stained red with blood. Jinheng led his disciples to bow to Du Guangchao's body, and Wang Hao and others also paid homage quickly. Then Jinheng scanned the area for a week and said loudly, "According to this master's order, Xuanhuan Mountain will be closed for 10 years and 5 days, and no one will be allowed in or out." The family members and casual cultivators left quickly and returned to their respective spiritual mountains. All offerings will remain as before. After speaking, he looked at Sanren Songhai, who was standing aside. Sanren Songhai nodded silently. "Everything is based on the orders of fellow Daoist Jin. I am just a guest and will not interfere in the affairs of Xuanhuan's sect, but he is at the peak of the Golden Core and is more likely to be promoted to nascent soul. No one dares to ignore his opinion." Seeing that he has no intention of taking care of things, Jinheng also secretly nodded, thinking about so many good things. If this person is careless, if they seize power, the Xuanhuan sect will fall into chaos. Hearing this, thousands of Xuanhuan sect disciples responded in unison, "Accept the order. You go." Jinheng waved his hand, "Take care of the mountain gate and prepare to seal the mountain." Immediately, there were Xuanhuan sect disciples with swords, flying magic weapons, or flying spirit beasts, flying towards their respective posts. Wang Hao and others looked at each other and quickly flew down the mountain. Jinheng's order was to close the mountain in order to recuperate. The Xuanhuan sect suffered a lot of losses this time. There were casualties among the officials everywhere, so they had to reorganize their functions. There are also a large number of disciples who have died, resulting in a decline in strength, and there is an urgent need to train a new group of outstanding disciples. 10 years is neither long nor short, and it is enough for the Xuanhuan sect to get back on track. Qingyi Wanfang City is not located on Xuanhuan Mountain and will not be closed. Qingyi Wanfang City is an important transportation thoroughfare on the Lijiao Peninsula, and the impact of closure will be too great. Moreover, there are hundreds of thousands of casual cultivators among them. Once it is closed, Xuanhuan's sect will lose a large amount of spiritual stones, and there will be all kinds of troubles, which is not worth it. But without the material supply from Xuanhuan's sect, the prosperity of Qingyi Wanfang City will probably drop a lot in the next 10 years, and Wang Hao will have nothing to do with it. The only thing related to Wang Hao is that Chen Qing and others invited Wang Hao to explore the secret. They should have set off long ago, but were delayed by the war, and now the mountain has been closed for 10 years, so they can only continue to postpone it. After this war, everything returned to its previous state. The Qinjiwaman territory previously occupied by the Burning Heaven sect must be returned. There is only one golden elixir left in the Burning Sky sect, and he is still seriously injured. Although the spirit beast is still there, it cannot take charge. If the families under the Burning Sky sect refuse to retreat and are isolated in the Qinjiwaman area, they will definitely be wiped out. As long as they get wind of it, anyone with a little bit of intelligence will take the initiative to retreat without taking action. You must know that the two sects have not ceased war. If they are greedy for profit, if the Xuanhuan sect does not take action, those families that were bullied by them before will also take action. Of course, even if Ling Shan can be brought back, those families that were wiped out will not be able to come back. However, the most indispensable thing in the Qinjiwaman area is casual cultivators. There are countless casual cultivators who want to establish a family. There must be someone willing to bid for these spiritual mountains from the Qinjiwaman and then develop a family. After hundreds of years of reproduction, they will be as prosperous as before. These 10 years are equally important to the Wang family. After Wang Hao encouraged childbirth, many monks of the Wen generation were born. Mainly because the monks of the Wen generation were relatively young and still had some pursuits. Unlike the dozen or so monks of the Yan Zi generation, who were already in ruins. Crazy concubinage, there are only 39 monks of the Yan generation in the family, and 10 of them were added after encouraging children to have children. Except for 4, the rest were all descended from an old uncle of the long generation. Wang Hao had to lament that after 90 years of practicing Buddhism, there are no more monks. Nothing was achieved, and the qualifications of the previous children and grandchildren were mediocre, but they caught up with the east wind that encouraged childbirth. They took more than 20 concubines at the age of 90 and gave birth to more than 70 children in a few years, 6 of whom were alive. The 2 children with 3 spiritual roots still have 3 spiritual roots. For the first time, the number of members of the literary generation exceeded 70, reaching 74, of which 39 were members of the tribe who were encouraged to have children. As for the Wu generation, there are now more than 50 people. In just a few years, Wang Wenxin alone has given birth to 6 children with spiritual roots. He is really lucky. His 90-year-old uncle quantity wins, but he relies on quality. He only has 5 wives and concubines, but he can continuously give birth to children with spiritual roots. Of course, it is not just the merit of the monks. After paying more attention to pregnant women, the Wang family began to give them spiritual rice and other spiritual things. The number of monks with spiritual roots born in Mortal City has also increased a lot. In the past, only 1 monk was born every few years, but now 1 or 2 monks are born every year. 13 of the more than 50 people of the Wu generation are from Mortal City. Chapter 189. Dan Jinya. Since encouraging childbirth, the Wang family has added 100 monks. Wang Guanan took more than a dozen monks with better qualifications overseas, and only 80 monks were left in the Wang family. This number is still increasing at a rate of more than 10 per year, and it will be 100 again in 10 years, and with the increase in the number of monks, the speed of adding new monks in the future will also double. 10 years later, the oldest of them will be almost 20 years old, and the monks with dual spiritual roots will not be far from building a foundation. Xuanhuan closed the mountain. Although the family is still required to hand in offerings, the management strength is definitely not as good as before. It is definitely necessary to seize this opportunity to develop the family well. Let's set a small goal first, to train a foundation-building monk every year. When the Qingyuan sect is unsealed, the Wang family will have 1 Jindan and 20 foundation-building members, and it will not be so easy for the Qingyuan sect to control them. After all, there are 2 evil neighbors next to them, so it is better to win over the Wang family instead of suppressing them. The Wang family is also under their command and is weaker, so it is easier to accept them than the Burning Heaven sect and the Wuyang Palace. Of course, all this is just Wang Hao's simple idea. Whether he can make good use of these 10 years to achieve his goal depends on the specific situation. After all, Wang Guanan's confidence in forming a golden elixir is not 100%. Before leaving, he told Wang Hao and others that the success rate of forming a golden elixir would exceed 50% for the sake of the Yin family's heart. The probability of 50% is not low. Even if most cultivators find a golden elixir spiritual object, the probability is still only 30% to 40%. Section 99. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After returning to Qingyuan market with Wang Yaozu, the 2 did not delay and directly returned to the family with their clansmen. Wang Hao did not plan to go overseas in the short term. His cultivation level could not reach the late stage of foundation building, and his exploration of overseas would still be limited to the vicinity of Wanxiang City. Secondly, the family had just experienced a war, and his staying would make these people feel more at ease. There was also Wang Guanan in charge overseas, so there was no need to worry. Overseas, in a retreat room in the backyard of Danfu Pavilion, Wang Guanan was sitting cross-legged here. In front of him was a blue giant tripod. A blazing fire was burning under the tripod, constantly roasting the tripod, and the fragrance of the pill filled the room. After 3 years of continuous practice, he finally broke through to the 3rd-level alchemist. After getting familiar with it for a while, he began to try to refine the 9 Dan Jinya. Overseas cultivation resources are indeed extremely rich. Wang Hao originally provided most of the auxiliary medicines, and the remaining several high-year ones were also bought by him at a high price at the auction. With the assistance of the 3rd-level alchemy furnace and the 2 Jinyuan fruits given to him by Wang Hao, if he could not successfully refine it, it might be his fate. Before refining, he told Wang Wenyan and others not to disturb him even if there was something big. After all, it was a 3rd-level elixir, and it was an elixir that broke through a great realm. It was extremely troublesome to refine. He had to concentrate on it and could not tolerate any interruption. Now he has been in seclusion for more than 2 years. The previous furnace had been ruined by him. This furnace was his last hope, however. His long-term experience in alchemy told him that the most taboo when refining elixir was the fluctuation of the state of mind. This was why the first furnace failed. Before this furnace, he had been meditating for half a year in order to completely calm his state of mind. His eyes were closed at this time, but his consciousness was always paying attention to the situation in the blue giant cauldron placed in the center of the room. The time in the room seemed to be stagnant, and only the constantly jumping flames told the passage of time. As a refreshing elixir fragrance overflowed from the alchemy furnace, Wang Guanan suddenly opened his eyes. Looking at the alchemy furnace were full of fiery. He suppressed his excitement, slowly stood up, and his expression became extremely serious. He said firmly, "This is the last chance. I will never make the same mistake again. I will succeed." After that, he made a gesture with his hands, and a beam of spiritual light hit the furnace, and the fire suddenly became more violent. After a while, with a wave, the furnace calmed down. Wang Guanan's consciousness had already felt the result, but he was still worried without seeing the finished product. He raised his left hand upwards, and the lid of the tripod was instantly taken up. In an instant, a golden light appeared, and in the furnace, a ball of golden solution was flowing in it, exuding an attractive fragrance. Wang Guanan took out a jade bottle, pointed lightly at the furnace, and the golden solution was slowly taken out and entered the jade bottle. Wang Guanan's hands trembled as he held the jade bottle. After checking the smell and color for a while and finding nothing wrong, he finally burst into laughter. 9 Danjinia, I finally made it, ha 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 ha. The unbridled and hearty laughter echoed in the entire cave for a long time. After years of repression, Wang Guanan tidied his clothes and walked out of the cave. If people knew that he used 2 Xuanhuan fruits to make a portion of 9 Danjinia, they would be spitted to death, but for the Wang family, this was a pioneering existence. Wen Yen greets the ancestor. Congratulations on the ancestor coming out of retreat. Seeing Wang Guanan, Wang Wenyan hurriedly saluted. The Wang family has more people overseas, and Wang Yanfeng, as a second-level alchemist, has shifted his focus to teaching and managing the clan members. Wang Wenmei has also been in retreat for several years because of her change of practice. Although there are still several people with higher seniority than Wang Wenyan, she is still the strongest in terms of ability. Wang Guanan also listened to Wang Hao's advice and handed over all the matters of the store to Wang Wenyan. In the past few years, although the store business was still suppressed, it could barely hold on. After paying the rent, it could also provide some resources for the tribe members to practice. It can be said that even if Wang Guanan himself replaced her, he might not be able to do better than her. Wang Guanan was very satisfied with her and asked, "Is there anything important in the store?" "Everything is normal. We have fixed those old customers and it is difficult for them to leave. However, new customers are still scarce. You have done well. Keep it up. My Wang family will not make any big moves at the moment. Everything is based on stability. This time, I am only out of retreat for a short time, and then I will continue to retreat for a long time. You still have to worry about everything in the store." Wang Wenyan was a little surprised. The ancestor had been in retreat almost all the time since he came overseas. I thought he would make some moves this time, but he still had to continue retreat. However, she was smart and knew that there were some things she should not know. She did not ask much, but just said, "Don't worry, ancestor, Wen Yen will take good care of the store and will not let anyone disturb the ancestor." Wang Guanan planned to form a pill during this retreat. He could not afford to delay. He was now over 220 years old and was not far from the end of his life. Although the full lifespan of a foundation-building cultivator can reach 240 years old, very few can die of old age. The lifespan of a cultivator will be shortened due to various reasons such as injuries. Wang Guanan had been seriously injured. Even if he had fully recovered, his lifespan would still be shortened. If he waited any longer, something unexpected might happen. The formation of the elixir was not something that could be completed in a short period of time. Some cultivators even had to retreat for decades, which was longer than the time it took for a Jindan cultivator to form an infant. Of course, it usually only took 2 or 3 years, but since Xuanhuan was planning to form the elixir, he had to be fully prepared. If you reach the final stage of forming a pill, but your lifespan is gone, you will not be able to rest in peace even after death. In fact, it is best to find a relatively quiet cave for a golden elixir. Although the spiritual energy in the shop is sufficient, there are too many people and it is too noisy. The power behind Wanxiang City is the Yuanying sect. A large number of caves have been opened up for rent on the 4th level spiritual veins. Xuanhuan can rent a good cave on the 3rd level spiritual veins for only 10,000 or 20,000 spiritual stones, but Xuanhuan also has to consider the family. He has spent nearly 100,000 spiritual stones on buying spiritual medicines to practice alchemy and looking for auxiliary medicines. There are not many spiritual stones left. After spending a huge amount of money to rent a cave, the cultivators who came out with him will have to tighten their belts to live. These cultivators are too young and their cultivation is too low. They are not suitable for sea-hunting monsters. It is already very difficult to rely on the support of Wang Yanfeng and others. He cannot add more burdens. If he fails, the family's investment will be lost and it may take decades to recover. Therefore, if he could save as much as possible, he would save as much as possible. After meeting several foundation builders and briefly explaining the situation, Wang Guanyan went into seclusion again. Chapter 195 Years, King Niafang, Wangjiling. 5 years have passed since the last war. After the last war, Wang Hao's prestige has been greatly improved, so he took advantage of this favorable wind to continue to make drastic reforms. He did not make changes blindly, but actually sought benefits for family members, so that they could not say no at all, and had no excuse. To oppose, it is useless to hold spiritual stones in your hands, you must spend them, or invest them. He is investing in the Wang family, and when the Wang family becomes strong, they will continue to feed back to him. For example, spiritual veins. It is simply a foolish dream for him to occupy a spiritual mountain with a 3rd-level spiritual vein, but if it is a family with dozens of foundation builders, it will be much easier. There are many benefits to practicing on high-level spiritual veins, and Wang Hao naturally wants to have them. The original policy to encourage childbirth only rewarded 20 spiritual stones for 5 spiritual roots, 30 for 4 spiritual roots, 50 for 3 spiritual roots, and 200 for 2 spiritual roots. The heavenly spiritual root was set at 1,000, but it has not appeared so far. Wang Hao directly doubled the reward. For a time, the trend of marrying wives and concubines resurfaced. The Wang family held weddings almost every day. The old uncle took 10 mortal wives and concubines in succession. Anyway, he was over 90 years old and had 1 foot in the coffin. There was no hope for the road, so he might as well take the opportunity to earn some spiritual stones for the younger generation. In addition, the rewards for other tasks were also doubled. The task of guarding the spiritual field for the family was originally only 3 spiritual stones per mu per year. The reason was simple. 1 mu of spiritual field could produce 2 seasons of spiritual rice per year. If it was well taken care of, the yield would be only 200 kilograms. In addition to the consumption of seeds, it would only earn more than 10 spiritual stones. The price of 3 spiritual stones was not low. You should know that a low-level cultivator would not spend too much time looking after 10 mu of spiritual field, and it would not delay cultivation. In this way, 30 spiritual stones could be obtained in a year. What else do you want? Now, the Wang family directly raised 6 spiritual stones, and almost half of the profits of the spiritual field were distributed to the guarding cultivators. In addition to the evaluation and various benefits, the annual income of the Qi training disciples exceeded 100 spiritual stones. Even some smart and strong people could earn 200 or 300 a year without any problem. With more spiritual stones, they would naturally buy magic tools and elixirs to improve their strength. When their strength improved, the Wang family would naturally become stronger. Wang Hao also learned the routines of the sect and himself in King Niafang, and assigned tasks to the family cultivators to train them. The rewards for completing the task include contributions, spiritual stones, magic tools, elixirs, and other rewards. For this reason, some resources of the family began to be in short supply. Wang Hao used the output of the farm to subsidize a lot. In the past few years, Wang Yanzhao has been concentrating on refining pills to earn contributions to Li Dishi's foundation building pills. Most of the family affairs are managed by Wang Hao and others, which gives Wang Hao room to operate. This has led to a slowdown in the development of his farm, and now there are only 6 pieces of gold land, but Wang Hao thinks it is worth it. Selling to the farm store can only be exchanged for a bunch of cold numbers, which will not help Wang Hao in the short term. He doesn't have many high-level spiritual objects in his hands, and the demand for gold land is not that great. As for exchanging it for the family, apart from other things, he got a lot of spiritual stones. These are real spiritual stones, not numbers in the farm. When he returns to Vientiane City in the future, won't he be able to buy those good things? The treatment has increased, which has also led to some people in the tribe becoming lazy. Anyway, they can live comfortably by guarding a spiritual field casually, so why go out for adventures? There are even some who do nothing but live on the salary of the clan members, so Wang Hao made a mandatory rule that the clan members must complete 2 clan tasks of the corresponding level every year and must accept a combat task every 2 years. Those who do not complete tasks within a year will be warned once and their benefits will be halved. Those who do not accept family tasks for 3 consecutive years will have all their benefits cancelled. If you still do not make progress after repeated warnings, you will be expelled from the clan directly. If you need to retreat for a long time to attack the level, or there are other special reasons, the family will be accommodating. But you must inform in advance, and if your strength or cultivation skills do not improve after retreat, you need to make up for the missed tasks to prevent someone from taking advantage of the loophole. Of course, there is one exception, that is, the birth policy. As long as you give birth to a child with spiritual roots, you can offset 2 years of tasks. For example, the 14th uncle will never have to accept tasks in this life. If the family allows inheritance, his sons will not have to do tasks. Wang Hao will not let this happen and repaired the loophole in time. There are also generous rewards for completing tasks. Many tribesmen have made a lot of money by taking high-value tasks. Although they cannot make as many pills as Wang Hao, it is common to use pills to assist cultivation. Before, it was good for a tribe member to have an attacking magic weapon. Many did not have any magic weapons. Now, almost everyone has 2 magic weapons, one for attack and one for defense, and some have 3 or 4. Wang Wenjiang is one of the best among them. He is a cultivator with 3 spiritual roots. He is only 24 years old this year, but he has caught up with the opportunity of the family's great development. He is also diligent and hardworking. He has no shortage of cultivation resources. Now he has reached the 8th level of Qi training. In a few years, he will be able to reach the 9th level of Qi training, and he may be able to build a foundation before the age of 30. One day, he came to Wang Hao's cave, played a sound transmission note, and waited respectfully outside the cave. Seeing Wang Hao walk out of the cave, he hurried forward to greet him. "Hello, 5th brother. I haven't seen you for a few days and you have become more handsome." Wang Hao smiled and shook his head. This kid is good in every way, but he doesn't talk much. However, this is also his advantage. He can get along well wherever he goes. "You kid are here to ask for a puppet beast. Have you completed the mission?" In order to hone his skills and also provide a safety guarantee for the tribe members who go out to do missions, Wang Hao began to use puppet beasts as rewards for some missions. 100-year-old Yinzi pine can be the main material for a first-level puppet. Wang Hao planted 1 acre of black soil after getting seeds from the Xi family. He can get dozens of Yinzi pine every 2.5 years, which is enough for him to refine puppets. Wang Wenjiang received a mission a few days ago. He happened to meet Wang Hao at that time and asked Wang Hao to refine a good one. A first-level puppet is of little use to Wang Hao, but it is an excellent helper for the Qi refining tribe members, and its status even exceeds that of spirit beasts.